Good morning, Tim.
Hey, Tim. You gotta get the text line going here. How's everybody's week going?
AJ, CJ, DJ. Wow.
We just call them AJC,
Okay.
but yep.
Good morning, Albert. Oh, Albar.
There's Albar, there's All Risk, there's Baby Jules. Oh, yeah. Morning, Robes. Let's do this.
Let's get it started. Hey.
Look at you. You did get rest.
I'm fired up and pumped up, baby. Ready to go in 10 seconds.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floormeister Studios. Floormeisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you on this hump day, the first Wednesday of July. Hope your week is going well. Heck, if you've got Friday off, you're already over the hump. How the heck are you, Miller and Moulton? MillerandMoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Thanks so much for being with us. Rick Church with us all week, with Mark off on a family vacay. Rick on the other side of the glass in Southwest Florida. Good morning, Rick. How are you?
Fantastic, David. Great to be here again. Getting used to these early morning hours.
Which I'm sorry about.
I hope I don't get too used to them.
I was going to say this. I'm still not used to this shift, and we've been mornings for 8 years now.
Yeah.
In fact, we're probably within a couple years of doing as many morning shows as we did afternoon shows. This was a nod to Mark. All right. Mark is the reason that we're doing mornings. When we came back, we did 10 years in the afternoon, and then we were coming back. We had a year hiatus, and we were coming back for our second act, and we had a choice. We could choose 3 hours in the morning or 3 hours in the afternoon. And I was all for the afternoon. And Mark said, yeah, I've already started like another life, and I got, the things I do with the daughter, and, I work stuff, and I can't do afternoons. And I was like, oh no, really? I mean, like, you really can, or you really don't want to? He goes, no, I can't. And I went, oh, son of a, because Rick, I was an afternoon, evening, late night guy my whole life.
And wasn't there a time when you were doing afternoons and Mark was doing mornings?
Correct.
So Mark is more adapted to the morning show hours.
Yes, and as I learned, Mark always wanted to own like a breakfast joint. So yes, Mark wanted to be the guy who, got up around 4 and, was serving breakfast at 6. And then, yeah, he wanted to close that restaurant by 2. Oh yeah. And be done, and get 9 holes in,
Right.
before he got home. So, and I was in local television for 20 years doing the 6 and 11 o'clock sports. So, no, I wanted nothing to do with mornings. I mean, I watched the late night TV shows. I didn't go to bed before 2 o'clock in the morning for, well, I don't know. I was in my mid 40s. I mean, honestly. So it was an adjustment for me. It's still an adjustment for me. I'm awful until you play the theme music. Honestly, I want no part of this. And then as soon as you play the theme music, I'm like, all right, baby,
It's time to go.
get to talk sports for a living. How about that? How great is this? I've avoided working for years now. This is fantastic. Miller and Moulton, lot going on. Once again, it's not as sexy a free agency frenzy in basketball and hockey as it's been in past years. Baseball rolls along. If we had a poll question today, do we think it's possible someone other than the Yankees wins the American League East? I mean, that would be the poll question. Who's going to win the AL East? Yankees, Blue Jays, Rays. They're separated by a game and a half. What do we think? We're a little past the halfway point. We've seen what every team has. We know 2 of the 3 teams will be buyers at the deadline. Just, do we think it's possible that someone other than the Yankees wins the American League East? Because 3 of the 6 divisions are done. I have no problem. I'll even put an X next to Houston, which is dangerous, but I'll put it with all their injuries. The way they're performing is remarkable, with largely a new cast of characters. Altuve, not what he was, and Alvarez hurt, and now he's going to miss even another month when they're hoping to get him back by the All-Star break. Yeah, that ain't going to happen. But I'm willing to put X's next to the Tigers, next to the Astros, and next to the Dodgers. Now, I think the Phillies are going to win the East. I picked the Phillies to win the East. I think the Cubs are going to win the Central. I picked the Cubs to win the Central. Who'd have thunk it that the division that seems most up in the air and has the tightest race right now is the American League East? Huh. I'll be darned.
I would like to see the Rays win it, David, if for no other reason than if they were to advance to the World Series. Seeing a World Series game at AAA Steinbrenner Field in Tampa?
All right.
That would be fun.
There's already been a lot of discussion about this. The word right now from Major League Baseball is Major League Baseball, if the Rays are the 4 seed, if they're a wild card team, that they will let the Rays play a best of 3 at Steinbrenner Field. But if the Rays are a division champ, or the Rays advance to the divisional round or to the LCS or to the World Series, that the Rays are going to have to play in most likely either Atlanta or Miami.
Oh, that's terrible.
Major League Baseball has said that Steinbrenner Field, it's not a seating capacity thing as much as it's a media capacity thing.
Mhm.
It's the number of tickets that Major League Baseball needs for themselves to accommodate sponsors and what have you. I guess there's only 27 seats in the press box max at Steinbrenner Field. And so Major League Baseball, the word right now, and they could obviously change their mind, is that, and the Rays with their loss yesterday and the Jays win fell to the 5 seed. So right now Toronto would host Tampa Bay in a best of 3. All 3 games would be north of the border. But when the Rays were in second place in the East and they had the best wild card record, they were going to be the 4. They were going to host that 3-game series to try to advance. And the word from Major League Baseball as of now is we'll let them host a wild card round. We won't let them go any further.
Wow.
I would just love to see the wild card round.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense because
Yeah.
obviously it's, I mean, I think obviously the Rays have probably sold out more games this year than they have in their entire history. Just because of the seating capacity.
Yes, without question. But I think it would be, for lack of a better word, a neat, unquote, cool environment for a 3-game series where everybody knows when they show up, this is where we're going to be for the next 2-3 days. Okay. And let's go. And besides, whoever they play, they will have played there already during the season in all likelihood. So, what's a best of 3 here? Now, it's still going to be warm. I mean, we're talking first week of October here. It's not like, I mean, it may be fall in other parts of the country. It ain't fall in Florida. But, maybe a little less humidity, maybe temps in the possibly, 80s. Is it possible at 8 o'clock at night to have upper 70s the first week of October? I mean, I guess it's possible. I mean, it could be quite comfortable, especially by our standards. But that's supposedly the word that Major League Baseball will not let them host a best of 5 or a best of 7 at Steinbrenner, but they're willing to, say, hey, you kind of earned this 4 seed. We'll let you do the best of 3. After that, we got to be in a big park. So,
understandable.
I mean, my question is, if you lived in Atlanta or Miami and there was a playoff game that did not involve the Braves or the Marlins, because, I mean, you have to assume there are 17 Rays fans in the greater Atlanta and greater Miami areas. I'm just curious, would you go? A chance to see playoff baseball? Also, American League teams, you're a National League city. I mean, my guess is if by chance the Rays played the Yankees, I'll bet you a ton of people would go, not just Yankee fans.
Right. It depends on the opponent, really.
But
plus, it's not like there's that many Rays fans even in Tampa that are going, well, we got to drive over to Miami to catch the Rays playoff games.
Well, right. I mean, that's just it, depending on when the games are. I mean, I think there's a chance for Rays fans to travel if the games were on a weekend, that maybe some Rays fans look at one another and say, hey, let's make the trip. I mean, from Tampa to Atlanta's 5 hours? Probably to Brave Stadium, it's 6. Okay, so it's come on, let's go. Let's just say they were playing quote unquote home games in Atlanta on a Friday and Saturday night. All right. What do you say? We get in the car first thing Friday? Let's go. You drive there, you get there. You got your hotel room for 2 nights. You got your tickets for 2 games. Let's go. A guy's trip. But I don't know how many will do it. But first, they got to make the playoffs. Remember, they have all those road games. Which may be good for them, because I think they're playing better on the road than they are at home, despite this recent surge. Miller and Moulton. It's a hump day. During the summer, that means Pat Kerwin and Seth Everett will join us in the 8 a.m. Eastern hour. And the bonus hour, Trent Bally will drop in, and we'll kick it around for the final hour of the show. Coolest thing I've seen today. Today was the day when both coming at you. I actually did my homework for today. Was the day one today. Don't have to be doing it during the show. So that's good. So you'll all have my undivided attention. I'm monitoring the text line, 21,000. All right. Got it right here. Woke up to 3 texts waiting for me. One with a Lamar Jackson, Christian McCaffrey rushing stat. That's what I like to see. That's the kind of gooberness I want to see at 6 o'clock in the morning. That's when I know that you're ready to go as well. The starting 5 is 25 minutes away. Miller and Moulton. Hope your week's going well. Get ready for the 4th. And thanks for spending time with us, millerandmoulton.com.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 239-427-3441 today.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to nolanagency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or nolanagency.com.
With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.com.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Well, Michael, we're glad you're young and healthy. Know you've been through a lot lately, so yeah, Robes. Coco. Uh-huh. You're just finding that out? Yeah. Four of the top 7 seeds on the women's side are out. Two of the top 10 men's seeds are out.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Mark is off all week. Rick Church sitting in. You can see Rick. YouTube channel, twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton. You're not even looking at the camera when you do that. You're looking at the...
Yeah, I'm looking at the... I don't know. Yeah, but I'm kind of disappointed you didn't even notice having looked at myself on this camera for the last 2 days.
Is that a haircut?
It is a haircut.
Okay. Now, see, I was literally going to say something this segment. I didn't know if it was the T-shirt or the haircut, but
it's a haircut.
Something was different this morning. I'm like, something is different.
That's from looking at myself on this thing for the last 2 days.
Well,
oh my God, I got to do something.
Well, here's what you need to do. All right. Because I don't know about you. All right. And your lovely wife, Judy. But my wife hasn't noticed a haircut of mine in 15 plus years. Okay.
Yeah.
So, let's, when you see your wife, again, and you get into a conversation, just see how long it takes her to notice that you got a haircut.
She won't.
Exactly. There you go. That's when you could tell that Rick and I have both had long, successful marriages. Okay. When they stop paying attention to you, they stop noticing you. Okay. It leads to longevity. So we got that going for us, which is nice. Simple question. Who's the best college football quarterback of your lifetime? Not in the pros, in college. The best college football quarterback, Rick and I are of similar age. So we were born in the 60s. Rick has already cashed in his IRAs. I'm now just eligible to cash in my IRAs. Okay. So I will say this, and obviously the game has changed a lot. And, some of the wishbone quarterbacks in the 70s and 80s and all that. And, some of the quarterbacks of the 90s, I'll even just limit it to this century. Okay. The best quarterbacks of the 21st century in college. And to me, there's a gold, silver, and bronze, and you can put them in whatever order you want. To me, it's Joe Burrow, Cam Newton, Tim Tebow. And I don't think I'm being quote unquote SEC biased there. I really don't. I mean, Jameis was amazing. He was. But, I mean, I'll say this. Nobody threw the ball better. That 2019 LSU team, that's the best college offense of all time. That is. It's not the best team of all time. The defense was average, although it had some outstanding individual personnel. Okay. But, I mean, first off, just take a look at the top three wideouts on that LSU team were all first-round picks. And Burrow was running the show, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Moss's kid at tight end. I mean, the whole offensive line got drafted. I mean, honestly, that's the best offense I've ever seen. And so it's tough to say that somebody ever had a year that was better than Joe Burrow in 2019. I would argue Cam Newton's 2010 is better, though, because Auburn's team wasn't nearly what LSU's team was. Okay, they were good. They were solid. Cam Newton made them great. Cam was the greatness on that national championship team. And Cam had to do it running and throwing. I mean, it was just 1 year. But as a career, it's tough to beat Tebow's career. I mean, played for 3 SEC championships, won two natties, okay, was the supporting role on the one, was the dominant role on the other. Oh, by the way, in between those 2 natties, he won a Heisman. I mean, it's tough to say somebody's had a better career at quarterback than Tim Tebow. And obviously, he did it all. I mention this because, hey, and I'm not taking a shot. I actually think it's a little unfair to do this to the guy. You know, Paul Feinbaum's a pretty big deal in college football. You know, like him, not like him, whatever. But he's earned his success, by the way. I mean, he really has. He did it locally. Birmingham was so successful that he became regional, became national. I mean, he's earned the status that he has. But if Paul Feinbaum says something about college football, you at least listen, whether you agree with it or not. Paul Feinbaum came out yesterday and said Arch Manning is the best college quarterback since Tim Tebow. Whoa. Dude. What? No. I mean, so you're willing to say right now, you know, this is how Beano Cook got in trouble back in the day when he predicted how many Heismans for Ron Paulus at Notre Dame? At least 2. He was at least going to match Archie at Ohio State. There was a chance he was going to get 3. Right, that didn't work out so well for Beano. Arch Manning is the best college quarterback since Tim Tebow? Whoa. Can we pump the brakes? Can he beat Oklahoma? Can he get Texas to, I mean, come on now. You know, Joe Burrow was good in 2018 at LSU. He was. He had a big upset at Georgia. He established himself as clearly the guy, but he was just good and at times very good. By 2019, he was a legend. You know, Tebow in 2006 as a freshman was limited. By 2007, he's doing things we've never seen a quarterback do, running and throwing with yards and touchdowns. And we had to give him the Heisman even though he was a sophomore. And Cam Newton, a team that was not ranked in most polls, a bunch of 4th and 5th year seniors that were winning 7 and 8 games a year. And he said, come on, boys, I'll take you to greatness. I mean, watch the play against LSU when Patrick Peterson's got the angle on him and he runs away from him. From Patrick Peterson. Like literally a world-class sprinter coming around the turn and kicking it into another gear. I mean, I hope Arch Manning's amazing. Arch Manning needs to be amazing to get in the conversation with Tebow, with Burrow and with Cam. Never mind Jameis. Never mind any other quarter. The USC the Matt Leinart, pretty good college quarterback, ladies and gentlemen, in the early 2000s. I mean, wow.
That's just a projection, obviously, because he's got no body of work yet, Arch Manning.
He's played 4 games. I mean, no offense, if he was that good, wouldn't he have replaced the quarterback last year?
That's what I was thinking. And Tim Tebow popped to my mind immediately when you asked the question, at least in this century. No doubt.
But I'd be willing to put Tebow up against Charlie Ward, Jamil Holloway, Tommy Frazier. I mean, tough to do better than Tommy Frazier. I mean, to me, the 95 Nebraska team was them and the 01 Hurricanes are the 2 best teams I've seen in my lifetime. And Tommy Frazier was the best player on that 95 Nebraska team. Just ask the Gators. But, damn. Arch Manning is the best college quarterback since Tim Tebow? Whew. Today? What's he done? I don't know. Just wanted to throw that out. The poll question, if we had one today, okay, best college quarterback of the 21st century, Tebow, Cam, Burrow, Jameis. Those would be your choices. With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Honey, you want to come out? I haven't seen you since Glass Doctor installed our custom shower enclosure.
No thanks.
Well, you can't keep eating breakfast in the shower, and laminating your magazines is getting expensive. You remember we have guests coming over tonight, right?
Oh, I'm sure they'd love to see the shower.
It's our neighbors, and I highly doubt they want to be hanging out in our bathroom.
The shower's so good, you'll never want to leave. Visit glassdoctor.com today and schedule an appointment online.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Come on, Adam. You're not going to put A.J. McCarron in the same class as Burrow, Tebow, Cam. And yeah, he was a good, solid quarterback. But come on. And I love it. A.J. McCarron, I mean, until Tua, I mean, I could argue he was the best quarterback Saban had during that whole run. Sonny, I love Tommy Frazier. I thought he was amazing. Yeah, Trevor in college. He was. Listen, there are a lot of great quarterbacks. You know, early 2000s, the back-to-back Carson Palmer, Matt Leinart at USC. Vince Young. I mean, Vince Young. I mean, huh. But Clark, remember, we're talking college. Doesn't matter what you did or didn't do on Sundays. Cordell Stewart. Yep. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't belong on a list, but he was a very good college quarterback. Got to fill out my deposit slip. Yeah, I mean, Warfel was tremendous. I mean, there are a lot of terrific college quarterbacks. Charlie Ward, the old guy there won the Heisman. Chris Winkie, you know. We haven't even talked about the BYU quarterbacks. But, I mean, guys, come on now. This is the difference between great/legendary and then very good. I mean, come on. We're just going to rattle off 200 quarterbacks here?
Back in 5.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes before the hour. I opened up a can of worms there, didn't I? You can't throw something out there that's that polarizing and that subjective and not have it be a huge can of worms. Best college quarterback, whether you want to go all time, whether you just want to limit it to the 21st century. Because, you know, you got to take into account Carson Palmer won the 02 Heisman. Matt Leinart had the 3 great years at USC in 03, 04, 05, won a Heisman, finished third one year. Vince Young. How about Vince Young's 2005 at Texas? Thank you very much. I mean, that's why to me, I mean, to put Cam Newton's 2010 or Joe Burrow's 2019 ahead of Vince Young's 2005, I mean, that's what I would say to Paul Feinbaum. Hey, can Arch Manning just be in the area code of Vince Young first? I'm not talking about Sundays. I'm talking Saturdays. Okay. Watch that Rose Bowl against Texas again if you haven't seen it recently. Against a whole bunch of guys who are playing on Sundays. Yeah. Who's the best player on the field? Even Reggie Bush would have said that day. That's how good Vince Young was. But anyway, 21,000 on the text line, twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton. Chime in accordingly. Pat Kerwin, Seth Everett coming up in a little more than an hour. Trent Bally in the bonus hour. Coolest thing I've seen today, Rick, I guarantee you will like it. It involves one of your favorite teams.
Oh, great.
That's coming up 40 minutes from now. Time now for
The Starting Five. 5 big stories you need to know. Here is the Starting Five.
We'll start with the NBA for this reason. We've never seen anything like this. The most expensive wave, if you will, in NBA history. There hasn't been a bigger one in baseball or the NFL either. The Milwaukee Bucks waived soon-to-be 35-year-old Damian Lillard yesterday. Now, he has 2 years left on his contract at $113 million. $113 million. He's going to miss all of this year, however, with a torn Achilles. And Milwaukee said, well, we're just not going to sit around and be bad. We got to get some players. So we're going to waive Dame. And there's an NBA rule that you can split a contract into fifths. And so we're going to divvy up that $113 million over the next 5 years. So instead of Dame costing us like $56, $58 million this year, he's, quote, only going to cost us $22.5 million. But he's going to cost them $22.5 million for the next 5 years. The Bucks then, with the extra money, signed Miles Turner away from the Pacers, 4 years, right around $27 million a year. Tough loss for the Pacers. I don't know if I'm a Bucks fan, if I'm happy about this. Because I don't know how much better you're going to be with Miles Turner and Bobby Portis and Giannis than if you just had bitten the bullet this year. And then you would have had Dame on an expiring contract next year in which he would have been much more tradable. And then you would have gotten out from under the whole thing. Anyway, the Heat. Remember we talked about the Duncan Robinson situation where he turned down a $20 million player option earlier in the week. And the Heat were torn. Do we then sign him to a longer-term extension, or do we free up $20 million against the cap? Well, for the most part, they freed up $20 million against the cap because the Heat ended up signing Duncan Robinson for a minute at 3 years, $48 million, but then sending the guard at $16 million a year to the Pistons. And they got a player literally just thrown back at them to eat up a few million, 29-year-old Simon Fontecchio. Don't even know if he'll make the team. So the Heat save a bunch of money, but they lose Duncan Robinson. We were just talking about this yesterday, where the NBA salaries were going before the decade is out. Oklahoma City, who still had Shai Gilgeous-Alexander under contract for 2 more years, they offered him a max 4-year extension, and he took it. It's actually a super max extension because he's been first team All-NBA, obviously won MVP this year, blah, blah, blah. So he's not just eligible for a max extension. He was eligible for the super max extension. How super is it? Well, how about 4 years, $285 million? That's $71.25 million a year on average. Now, he won't be making that the next 2 years, but in 28, 29, 30, and 31, when he is 28, 29, 30, and 31 years of age, he will be making $70+ million a year. And even if he plays most games, basically he will be $1 million a game player. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. That's the kind of money that's going to be available to the elite in the NBA because of this brand new $76 billion TV deal over the next 11 years. Tim Hardaway Jr. ends up signing a 1-year deal with Denver, leaving the Pistons. So Duncan Robinson replaces Tim Hardaway Jr. I think the Pistons got worse, quite frankly. Hardaway had a nice season last year in Detroit. NHL. Panthers with a minor move. They lost third-line defenseman Nate Schmidt to Utah, and so they replaced him with 37-year-old Jeff Petrie, signed him to a 1-year minimum contract of $775,000, and they're going to try to get one last year out of the 37-year-old on their third-line D. They saved a few million by going that route, however. Corey Perry left Edmonton for the LA Kings. LA signed 5 free agents, all to modest deals yesterday. Vancouver re-signed Brock Besser, 7 years, a little over $50 million, so he gets $7.25 a year. Michael Granlund left Dallas for Anaheim, 3 years at $7 million a year. Anaheim is one of those teams that actually has to get to the floor. They have so many young players on their team. That's why they traded for Kreider and his $6 million salary. Then they pick up Granlund at $7 million. They actually need to spend money to be NHL compliant. It's a nice problem to have. Biggest move yesterday in the NHL, Rangers traded a 25-year-old defenseman, Keandre Miller, because they decided they weren't going to give him the big contract. Carolina said, we'll give it to him. 8 years, $60 million. That's 7.5 per. They also gave the Rangers a nice defensive prospect and a first and second round pick. So a good deal for both teams. One final hockey note. If you ever go to a hockey game in Detroit, he was number 10. Hall of Famer Alex Delvecchio. Played the third most games in Red Wings history. Only Lidstrom and Howe played him more. Alex Delvecchio passed away yesterday at the age of 93. Baseball. Damn those pesky A's. And they haven't been very pesky for the last month and a half, but they've been pretty pesky in Tampa the last 2 nights. A's beat the Rays 4-3, despite the Rays hitting 3 homers. A's a winner in 10. Tampa Bay remains a game and a half behind the Yankees because the Yankees got beat again in Toronto. 4-4 game in the 7th, and with 2 outs, it all unfolded. You had a controversial catcher's interference call. Then you had a throwing error by Jazz Chisholm, loaded the bases, led to a Springer slam. George Springer with 2 homers and 7 RBIs. Toronto ends up bombing the Yankees 12-5. Toronto's a game back. It's the Yankees, Toronto 1 back, Tampa Bay 1.5 back. Huh? How about the American League East? Red Sox-Reds game suspended in the 4th inning by rain. Rain was a big part of baseball in the Northeast yesterday. Mets at home against Milwaukee postponed. Phillies at home against San Diego postponed. Nats at home against the Tigers postponed. They'll all play double headers today. Texas, Jacob deGrom won his 5th straight. He's 9-2. In other words, he's back to being Jacob deGrom. Texas 10-2 over Baltimore. Guardians lost their 5th in a row. Suzuki hit his 23rd homer to lead the Cubs to a 5-2 win. Skeens only threw 5 shutout innings. Then because of pitch count, they took him out. Scoreless into the 8th. The Pirates scraped across a run to beat the Cardinals 1-0, and Pittsburgh has won 5 in a row. The Marlins have won 8 in a row. And let me tell you, they've got Marlins fever in South Florida. Miami returns home, winners of 7 in a row, and a robust 7,860 on hand to watch them shut out the Twins 2-0. That's right, 78-60 with a 7-game winning streak. The Marlins are ahead of the Braves in the National League East because the Marlins have won 8 in a row, and the Braves lost again yesterday. Angels with 4 in the 8th. LA's at 500, by the way. Angels 4-0 over Atlanta. That's right. We all had in July that the Marlins would be ahead of the Braves in the National League East. Not April, not even May. July. What in the... Kansas City, who had lost 8 of 9, doubled up Seattle 6-3. The Giants are reeling. They've lost 7 of 8. Arizona hit 4 homers, beat them 8-2. And the Dodgers had a 4-run first. This Ohtani guy homered. That's number 30. 5th year in a row he's done that. Dodgers 6-1 over the White Sox. WNBA last night. Boy, was I wrong. I wondered, how could the 14-2 Minnesota Lynx only be in a 4.5-point favorite at home against Indiana, and Caitlin Clark might not even play? Turns out she didn't play. Well, this is like printing money, right? No. The Fever, without Caitlin, beat Minnesota soundly 74-59. They gave them one of those in-season trophies, too. They won the Commissioner's Cup. It's kind of like, you know, what Vegas or the Lakers won a couple years ago in Vegas, and they put the banner up for. Yeah, the Fever were congratulating themselves for their first ever championship last night. Whoa. Take it easy, folks. Take it easy. You're like 9-8 on the season. Come on now. But Caitlin Clark missed her 3rd straight game with that groin injury. NFL. We had another trade. So Darren Weller really stuck it to the Giants. So the Giants gave up a 3rd-round pick a couple years ago for the Raiders tight end. He came to play with them. Can't blame him for all of it. He had Daniel Jones throwing him the ball, so he was lousy. And then Weller retired. He said, I just don't have the love of the game anymore. So the Giants gave up a 3rd-round pick for a guy who gave him a year. Well, Weller, after a year off, decided to unretire yesterday. Well, the Giants held his rights. They're like, we don't want him. He was a bum with us, and he cost us a bunch of millions against the cap. So the Giants traded his rights to Miami, who signed him to a 1-year, $4 million deal. Darren Waller will replace Jonnu Smith as the tight end for the Dolphins. They gave up like a 6th-round pick and got a 7th-round pick back. I mean, they really didn't give up much. All you know what is breaking loose at Wimbledon. 4 of the top 7 women's seeds are out in the first round, including 2nd seed Coco Gauff, 3rd seed Jessica Pegula, and the 5 seed Quinnen yesterday. Gauff got beat 6-1 in the 2nd set. Pegula got beat 2-3. First round, Wimbledon. 4 of the top 10 women's seeds, 2 of the top 10 men's seeds out in the first round. They have not seen anything like this in a long time at Wimbledon. 2nd round already underway. And it's 7 minutes before the hour. That was the starting 5. 5 big stories and chaos at Wimbledon here on Miller and Moulton. Coolest thing I've seen today coming up in a little less than 30 minutes. And if you're a baseball fan, you'll think it's really cool. And if you're not a baseball fan, you'll go, man, are you the biggest goober in the world? Yeah, I resemble that remark. 1 hour down, Miller and Moulton. Thanks for listening. That's one of the highest rated shows for men because the working man is one of the toughest demos to reach, and we do. Great sponsors like Floor Meisters, American Paint Supplies, Glass Doctor, Sleep Treatment Direct, Game Day Men's Health, and Molly Maid recognize that, and we thank them. And if you own a business and working men are your clientele, the most cost-effective way to reach them is through us. Text Miller and Moulton at 21,000 or directly via X at that Mark Miller or the David Moulton.
Southwest Florida's scorching heat is on its way. Stay cool with Air Advantage. As a proud Rheem Pro partner, Air Advantage delivers top-notch air conditioning solutions to keep you cool and comfortable. Right now, enjoy 18 months, no interest, no payments on qualifying systems. Call 433-4635 today for expert installation and unbeatable comfort all summer long. Online at myairadvantage.com. Air Advantage. Call today, 433-4635.
Summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine, no more snoring, no more tossing, no more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Miller and Moulton are very grateful to you, the listeners, for making us one of the highest rated shows for men, because the working man is one of the toughest demos to reach, and we do. Great sponsors like Floor Meisters, American Paint Supplies, Glass Doctor, Sleep Treatment Direct, Game Day Men's Health, and Molly Maid recognize that, and we thank them. And if you own a business and working men are your clientele, the most cost-effective way to reach them is through us. Text Miller and Moulton at 21,000 or directly via X at that Mark Miller or the David.
This is Miller and Moulton.
But Michael, if it's hot for both players, how is it a major factor? I'm not being a wise ass. I'm just, also they play shorter matches. I don't, but yeah, I mean, what was it, 102 yesterday in Paris? I mean, my goodness, 90 something in London. And morning, Doug Johnson. By the way, Michael, London, very nice. Hope you had a good time. Were you a tourist or, or had you been there before? Why? Drying the grass, making it harder so it plays more like a hard court? I would think that would help the Americans. Good for you, EB. Go get that lobster. Rick, Sonny wants to send you a DoorDash delivery. Is there anything you're longing for?
Now?
It's just Sonny said 3 minutes ago, Rick needs a DoorDash delivery.
Oh no, I'm good. I'm good. Thank you. I'm actually meeting an old friend for lunch today at 11 a.m. that I haven't seen for a long time. So
That's awesome.
yeah. So I'm good, but thank you. Thank you.
And Rick's like, I only have to get up one more time.
That's right.
One more day.
One more, baby. Then try to adjust back to that up all night lifestyle. I prefer to
Oh, that's easy to adjust to.
Oh, I'm sure.
You'll have one transition day and you'll be back in no time.
I'm not worried about it. Here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour 2 of Miller and Moulton on this hump day. Pat Kerwin 1 hour from now. Seth Everett in our 8 a.m. Eastern hour as well. Trent Bally in the bonus hour 2 hours from now. Coolest thing I've seen today coming up in 20 minutes. Mark off all week. He'll be back on Monday. We were actually texting one another a little bit yesterday, a couple of hockey goobers texting about hockey free agency. And then finally I said to him, go back to your vacation. He says it's raining.
Oh. So
he got a day of rain yesterday, at least in the morning. So we were texting Miller and Moulton.
I'm glad I haven't had to call him at 5:45 a.m. like I did Monday.
Right. No.
We've been all good since then.
Well, and that was basically the first text, Rick. He said, hey, how did it go? I'm like, no, we got to figure it out.
Yeah,
I think it was Mark's way of basically saying, so am I good for the rest of the week? You guys aren't going to bother me the rest of the week, right?
Nope.
You able to do this? It's like, yeah, we got it. We just needed, the training wheels at the beginning of the first day. And then we took them off about an hour into the show. We're good. We're fine. Go to sleep. Can I go back in time a little bit? In the first hour, I just mentioned that Paul Feinbaum yesterday said that Arch Manning is the best college quarterback since Tim Tebow. And that's absurd to say. It just is. I mean, he hasn't done enough. You could argue, what has he done? So, I mean, you're betting on potential here. Okay. But let's go back in time. Do you remember when Tebow was with the Gators? And I'm not just doing this because, I've been lucky enough to be a part of the CBS SEC booth there for 18 years. But obviously, we had 6 Tebow games a year. And Vern and Gary took a lot of grief about, you guys, all you mentioned is Tebow. You love Tebow. Enough of Tebow already. How about this question? Has there been a better college quarterback since Tim Tebow? Is there a quarterback in which you are somewhat confident that you could go before a jury of your peers and make the case that so-and-so was better? Because, yes, he got a lot of attention. First off, how could he not? he's the quarterback, and they ran an offense in which the quarterback ran the ball 20 times a game. So the ball was seemingly in his hand constantly, and they won. So, yes, a lot of talk about Tebow. At the time, he did things that had never been done before in terms of rushing and passing and 50-plus touchdowns in a season, etc. But 15 years later, I mean, remember, Tebow's last year was 2009. We've had a lot of Cam Newton was 2010. Oh, by the way, last hour, do you know a quarterback who didn't come up? Johnny Manziel wasn't mentioned by anybody. How about those 2 seasons, 2012 and 2013?
One of our texters did mention Johnny Manziel along with Baker Mayfield and Deshaun Watson.
Deshaun Watson was amazing.
Yep.
He was outstanding. I mean, it's a hell of a debate amongst Clemson people, Deshaun or Trevor Lawrence. I would say Deshaun close, but I mean, that's a healthy debate right there. I mean, we've had amazing quarterback play since Tim Tebow. Cam Newton, Johnny Manziel, Jameis Winston. The 2 Clemson quarterbacks we just mentioned. Joe Burrow in 2019. Oh, yeah, Lamar Jackson won the Heisman at Louisville. Hello. Nearly had them play for the Natty. Hello. I mean, all since Tebow. And that's why, to me, to say that Arch Manning is going to be, there's a lot of really good quarterbacks since number 15. But, Rick, and we've now laid out most of the guys. Is there anybody that you are comfortable saying was better than Tim Tebow?
No, because again, like I said, that's the first name that popped into my head. And I mean, again, we're talking this century, so in the 2000s.
Well, but also even since Tebow, my point is Tebow got so much attention, and a lot of the national media, people got sick of Tebow who weren't Gator fans by the 2009 season. His 4th and final year, people were like, oh, enough Tebow already. All right. I mean, I love the kid. I want him to marry my daughter, but enough already. Enough with the Tebow love. Come on. And nobody could be this good. Well, and we've seen a lot of greatness since. A lot of greatness. I mean, we'll rattle it off again. Cam, Manziel, Winston, Deshaun Watson, Trevor Lawrence, Joe Burrow. That's just since Tebow. I'm not even talking about Vince Young right before Tebow. Carson Palmer and Matt Leinart right before Tebow. But right now, has there been a better quarterback? Better since Tim Tebow? And obviously better, you can do with whatever you want. We can talk about career. I think it's tough to beat Tebow's career. He was an integral part of 4 good to great teams. 2 of them won natties. And he won a Heisman in a non-natty year. I don't think anybody can beat Tebow's career. So to me, if you're going to say somebody was better than Tebow, you're basically, I think, starting to slice his career like an onion. Kind of like, okay, for 1 year, would I take Joe Burrow 2019, Cam Newton 2010, Deshaun Watson 2016? Would I take that over whatever year you think is Tebow's best year? And I'm guessing 07 he won the Heisman. 08 he was the starting quarterback when they won the Natty. Okay, so I'm guessing you would narrow it down to one of those 2 years. But, Tebow got a lot of hype a lot of talk, a lot of quote love from the announcers. That's held up pretty well 15 years later, hasn't it?
Absolutely.
I mean, so you will not argue before the jury that someone was better than Tebow.
No. I
Do you
still go with Tim Tebow.
Do you think someone was as good? Like, are you willing? Like, if I come at you and go, I'm going to go Joe Burrow, 2019. Okay, would you?
Yes, but if you want to single out one season, but again, we're talking about college quarterback.
Right.
So with Tebow, you've got to look at the body of work.
I agree.
And I don't think anyone has been better. And maybe, and of course, we all know how Tim Tebow's NFL career, maybe Joe Burrow was much more NFL ready.
Right. But see, Sundays,
No, I understand.
Right, doesn't exist.
Right. But, I'm just saying, like, maybe Tim Tebow stuck around a little longer than some of these other guys.
By the way, how much damage did Johnny Manziel's stint with the Browns do to him? None of us mentioned, first time we brought this up, we didn't even mention Johnny Manziel. I mean, what is wrong with us? I'm glad that texter did at 21,000. I mean, my goodness. Those 2 years from Johnny Manziel, the Heisman Trophy year, the 2 games against Alabama, damn. Now, it helps when you have a Mike Evans.
Right. And that's kind of what I'm saying is that maybe part of I know we're not talking NFL, but it clouds your brain a little bit.
It does.
It makes it hard to separate those things.
But think about it. Tebow had a moment in the NFL.
Yeah.
I mean, his NFL career pales in comparison to his college career. Well, Johnny didn't even have a moment.
No.
In the NFL.
Of his own doing.
So, yeah, totally. But
Mhm.
you would think then that we would elevate Johnny Manziel's college career even more because we have nothing decent even to compare it to as a pro. And it's funny that Johnny's pro career seems to have hurt his college legendary status, at least with our audience this morning. While, if anything, it enhances Tebow's.
Because Johnny Manziel is a very unlikable person.
Really?
You don't think so?
Oh, I loved him. I'm sorry. I loved him.
Again, in college, but
yes,
we all know what happened when he
after he
left college.
Yeah.
And I know we're supposed to separate those things, but I'm just saying that poisons the brain a little bit.
Rick, I have to admit I'm a little surprised, okay, even though you're not someone that participates in a lot of drugs and alcohol, but you are a huge music fan.
Right.
And all of your rock and roll bands participate in a ton of drugs and alcohol, and I know you don't hold it against them.
Well, come on now.
So how can you hold it against Johnny Manziel, Rick?
Because maybe drugs and alcohol enhance some rock and roll bands, but not a young NFL player's career. I don't know.
That's your story, and you're sticking to
Absolutely.
it, right?
You got it. Apples and oranges, David.
Well played, sir. Well played. So, anyway, that was one of the headlines out there yesterday that I wanted to bring up, but also just wanted to get into a couple of larger discussions. Paul Feinbaum saying that Arch Manning's going to be the best quarterback since Tebow.
Clickbait.
First off, damn, there are a lot of quarterbacks just in between Arch and Tebow. Man, I mean, are you sure he's going to be the best quarterback in Texas? I mean, seriously? I mean, Vince Young, Johnny Manziel, are we sure? I know the last name, love the last name, the whole deal. Right. Family does cute commercials. Right. Love them all. Come on now. Coolest thing I've seen today. Next.
American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Farrow and Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Farrow and Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Farrow and Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to NolanAgency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or NolanAgency.com.
Honey, you want to come out? I haven't seen you since Glass Doctor installed our custom shower enclosure.
No thanks.
Well, you can't keep eating breakfast in the shower, and laminating your magazines is getting expensive. You remember we have guests coming over tonight, right?
Oh, I'm sure they'd love to see the shower.
It's our neighbors, and I highly doubt they want to be hanging out in our bathroom.
The shower's so good, you'll never want to leave. Visit glassdoctor.com today and schedule an appointment online.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Somebody on our text line texted and love the Tebow talk. Go Gators. Go Gators.
Someone in 21,000 said, great hearing you in the morning, Rick.
Thank you.
I told him I'd pass it along and then told him that he can't wait to never do this again.
Oh, it's not true. That's not true, David. You and I go way back. I used to produce your afternoon show every once in a while.
No.
As fill-in guy back in the day. So no, that's
what I told. That's what I told someone else who chimed in on the text line, and I said, "Hey, I'm just thrilled to be able to work with Rick again. We used to work together and see each other all the time, and
long time ago. But you used to do FGCU basketball games.
You produced them
or run the board back here.
All of them. Yep, you were the voice in my ear, and I would ask you how we doing, and
yep, always battling equipment issues." Oh, been here almost 20 years to the day, David.
Wow.
I started mid-June of 2005.
I was April 2000 until January of 2016. Even though obviously we've appeared on the station for years since, but as an employee, actually January 2017
Okay.
I did, yeah, almost 17 years.
It's probably time I go out and find a real career, David. I might do that next week.
Oh, why? I mean,
I don't know.
I mean, yes, most real careers, if not all, are more lucrative, but
Mhm.
I mean, they all involve work.
That's true. It's funny. I was talking to my brother, a brother of mine in Minnesota, who recently retired. He was a fireman and a paramedic on the Duluth, Minnesota Fire Department, and also part of the Minnesota National Guard. So they're actually coming down here for a couple of weeks, because they're thinking about moving down here. They live in North Dakota right now, and they're like, but my brother's like, well, between my pension and my retirement, I'm like, you see, Greg, you did things right. I go, I made the mistake of getting sucked into the radio business when I was like 21 years old.
Right.
I don't have a pension.
No.
I don't have a retirement plan.
In fact, in most
You did
cases,
things right.
right. In most cases, I didn't have a salary and I was hard pressed to get benefits. But yes.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Exactly.
But no, it's a lovely career. I encourage all the students out there to go into it.
Oh,
Never.
yeah. Right. Because we get asked, like, well, how do I get into that business? And my answer is always don't.
Yeah, to mine too.
Do not. Especially now. All right. Coming back in about 10.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Pat Kerwin to join us in about 40 minutes time. Seth Everett will join us next hour as well. Trent Bally in our bonus hour, 9 a.m. Eastern in the 239 and the 904. The coolest thing I saw today, all right, Mark has talked about this, saying, I thought this would be a neat little feature and it'd be so easy to do. And he says, and I have found it to be difficult to do. So far, I feel as if I've gotten lucky. There's been at least one really cool thing every day to focus on. And with that, coolest thing I've seen today, brought to you by Air Advantage. A reminder, you can get 18 months, not only no interest, 18 months, no payments. Yeah. A Rheem Pro partner, Air Advantage. Go to myairadvantage.com, myairadvantage.com, or give them a call, 239-433-4635, Air Advantage. All right. Coolest thing I saw technically late yesterday. I'm guessing, although since you had to come in and do Miller and Moulton early in the morning, Monday, maybe you didn't watch Sunday Night Baseball, Rick Church, even though your beloved Twins were playing.
Yeah, and shut out by Scooble.
Right. So it sounds like you did watch.
I didn't. I really didn't. I followed along a little bit, but yeah.
Okay. Well, a lot of people watched. Coolest thing I've seen today, the Tigers and the Twins did Yankees, Red Sox, Mets, Dodgers ratings on Sunday Night Baseball. The game did over 2 million viewers, peaked at 2.3 million. Here's the irony. ESPN and Major League Baseball have the highly publicized divorce at the beginning of the year. You suck. No, you suck more. I don't want anything to do with you. We haven't wanted anything to do with you for years. And so this is the last year of Sunday Night Baseball. Highest ratings for Sunday Night Baseball in 8 years so far this year. up 11% from last season alone. Tigers Twins in late June did Yankees, Dodgers, Yankees, Red Sox, Mets, Dodgers ratings for Sunday Night Baseball. Now, people are really analyzing this. Is this, hey, the Tigers are popular. That's a franchise, been dormant here for a few years. And hey, there's a lot of baseball fans in the Midwest and the upper Midwest. And we tap into the Tigers and the Twins, and that's appointment viewing. Maybe we don't have to do all these coastal elite teams. Maybe a little more Tigers, a little more Cubs. What do you say on Sunday Night Baseball? Hey? But also, and maybe it's just a coincidence, but after the Tigers Twins ratings came in, Andrew Marchand on Monday, and he's probably the most plugged in sports media / business guy that there is. Andrew Marchand on Monday reported, yeah, Major League Baseball and ESPN are back talking to one another. Really? Huh. I thought you sucked more. I hate you. I've hated you longer. I'm leaving you. I wanted to leave you years ago, but stayed in it for the kids. Yes. Now apparently they're back talking. Huh. That's with NBC reportedly having not a blank check, but a sizable check on the table in which NBC has said to Major League Baseball will replace ESPN in every sense of the word. Between us and Peacock and USA Network, what do you want? What do you need? Done. And I don't know, quick sidebar. How about if I just wrap this up first? So the Tigers Twins ratings equal to Yankees, Red Sox, Yankees, Dodgers, Mets, Dodgers. That's the coolest thing I've seen today. And by the way, the Tigers are going to be good for a few years. They got a lot of young players coming through the system, and they got young pitching. Look out for the Tigers, ready or not. It has been 41 years since they won it, after all. But that's the coolest thing I've seen today. Brought to you by Air Advantage, myairadvantage.com. 18 months, no interest, no payments available with Air Advantage. But I don't know how much and how often you pay attention to the world of television. And obviously I'm biased because I was in it locally for a generation, and I've been on the periphery of network sports for another generation. So I pay a lot of attention to this. So this is probably something that only interests me. But NBC canceled a ton of their shows in their lineup. And I know most of you don't watch network television anymore, and I watch very little of it. But NBC has basically canceled 2 nights of their worth of shows, Sunday and Tuesday. And they're going to devote it instead to sports. Like in the fall, you're going to get NBA on Sunday nights and Tuesday nights. And NBC has said out loud, we're betting on the NBA. We spend our money on that instead of the money it costs to write and produce and record sitcoms and dramas. We're going to do sports instead. Now, to most of you who hate the NBA, you're thinking, well, this is asinine. But then again, what's the other thing that's been a fact now for most of this decade? What's the only thing people are watching on network television? I mean, a couple of reality shows and sports. Mostly sports. That's what they're watching. NBC has decided, you know what? We're going in on sports. To that degree, Fox has done it. Fox has tried to turn Friday nights into a major sports night. They did college basketball all season long after doing college football every Friday night. Fox has tried to move some LIV golf, some racing. They've tried to move some of that to Friday nights even. So it's interesting if you're Major League Baseball. The NHL walked away from ESPN. Now, they didn't have much of a choice. ESPN basically said, you guys suck. We're not going to offer you any money. And the NHL got mad. And the NHL for 15 years had nothing to do with ESPN, almost 20. And then it was ESPN that came, not groveling, but they're the ones that initiated getting back in the hockey business. Apparently, it was ESPN who picked up the phone and called Major League Baseball and said, we're probably going to get divorced, but how about if we just sit down and talk one more time? And now you've got Fox devoting a lot of Friday nights to college sports. Fox even sent out a press release. They're going to televise college volleyball on a couple of Friday nights before the football season. I mean, that's how in Fox is on college sports on Friday nights. And NBC is like, we're going to go from football Saturday nights, football NFL Sunday nights, and we're going to, as soon as NFL is done, we're going NBA. And then we're going to pick a night where you're going to have to go to Peacock to watch your NBA. And apparently ESPN wants back in baseball.
Southwest Florida's scorching heat is on its way. Stay cool with Air Advantage. As a proud Rheem Pro partner, Air Advantage delivers top-notch air conditioning solutions to keep you cool and comfortable. Right now, enjoy 18 months, no interest, no payments on qualifying systems. Call 433-4635 today for expert installation and unbeatable comfort all summer long. Online at myairadvantage.com. Air Advantage. Call today, 433-4635.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 239-427-3441 today.
American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Farrow & Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Farrow & Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Farrow & Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and
This
sound.
is Miller and Moulton.
Michael, a lot of the networks aren't running original programming this week because they know it's a big vacation week, July 4th week. So a lot of networks, even networks who have summer shows, a lot of them aren't debuting them till next week. So just a little factoid. Big America's Got Talent fan, are you? Kidding. No doubt it's CBW. Well, think about it. There's very few soap operas anymore. There's less and less scripted shows anymore. I mean, look at what some of the networks are falling back on. NBC on Wednesdays has 3 Chicago shows in a row. All those shows have been on the air over 10 years. CBS has the CSIs and NCISs. They just did a big run of FBI shows, although they just canceled 2 of the 3 of them.
Coming back in 10.
There's about as much originality in network television as there is in the movies.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Mark off all week. He'll be back on Monday. Rick Church sitting in on the other side of the glass in our Southwest Florida studios. You can see Rick, who got a haircut, was so disgusted with himself, which I don't know why. Good-looking guy. He was being compared favorably to some famous people.
Wasn't I called Ravishing Rick yesterday by someone?
But yes. And
yeah,
we went with it all show, and no one mocked the description, by the way.
No. Well, there were a few Santa Claus comments.
Well, there was one question as to whether or not you had ever played Santa Claus. That's all.
I'm not a big fan of cameras. That's all, David.
You mean that lifelong career in radio has made you not a fan of cameras?
Correct.
Funny how that works. Rick, I would like to applaud you, though, because unlike me, like 5 years ago, I could go get a haircut and say to the person, you know me, Rick, I spend a lot of money on my haircuts. I mean, somewhere between $17 and $22. And I would say to them, hey, just cut off the gray and, leave the pepper. And there was still a chance to leave some pepper. I got to admit, you seemingly got rid of mostly gray. Okay. You're like a mix today. Okay. Where yesterday you were much more gray. Today, I feel you're both salt and pepper.
Well, thank you. That's one of my least favorite questions when a hair cutter says, how would you like it cut today? I said, shorter. I don't know. I don't, they have scissors or scissors,
Rick, you have always been demanding.
Yeah.
Yes, very demanding. How would you like it? Shorter would be
shorter.
Nice. Kind of why I'm here.
Yeah.
If you got off more gray than dark, that'd be great. But I know at this point in time, that might be hard to do.
I go to the same place and they always say, well, we have notes here. Was your last haircut okay? I go, it was fine. Let's just do that again.
I know. They say to me, do you still want it the same way? I go, I've been coming here since 2007. Yeah. Uh-huh. You know, I'm the guy who goes to the restaurant, orders the same thing, and yet asks to hear the specials. You ever been with people like that? They say, hey, what are the specials? And you're sitting there going, you've ordered the same meal for 15 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you hoping that it's $2 cheaper today and it's listed as one of the specials? Why do you want to hear the specials? You wouldn't order the specials if it was the only thing on the menu. But
I'm the same. I'm a creature of habit, David. I will get the same thing every time I go to the same place. Trust me.
Miller and Moulton. You know, this was out there and we didn't bring it up earlier in the week. And in part because I have to admit, I'm a little intimidated by our audience. Every time I bring up anything having to do with the NBA, you guys just crush us. And you're like, enough of this. I don't want to hear any of this. If I did, I'd listen to a national show. And it's like, well, hold on. We're not making the same points. We're talking about something different. And this is kind of an NBA story, but not. Did you see the Knicks interview Dawn Staley?
I did not.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Well, by the way, it's been 4 weeks since they fired Thibodeau. But the Knicks interviewed Dawn Staley. And now she's apparently not getting a second interview. And don't know if, she didn't interview well, if this is the Knicks doing, or if Dawn's like, I'm flattered, but I'm not leaving South Carolina. I built a monster here. Okay. And I'm making a few $1 million and I have an off season. So no, I'm good. And I can do whatever I want here. I don't take orders from anybody here. No offense. You want me taking orders from you guys? I don't think so. You seem like nice guys and all, but I like taking orders from me. That works for me. But do you think you're 61, I'm 59? Let's just say we got 20 years. Do you think you'll see a woman as the head coach of an NHL team, of an NBA team? Okay. There's very few of them in baseball. It's even bring them up a woman as a manager. I mean, I think there was one Class A Yankees team in Tampa a few years ago, but it's far-fetched to bring up a woman being an NFL head coach or being a Major League Baseball manager. I mean, Kim Ang was a successful GM of the Marlins. She took them to the playoffs. There are many who have, waited for her to get hired by another team. She lives in Seattle. I don't know how many more years the Mariners can miss the playoffs before they don't hire Kim Ang. I would have hired her already. But do you think in the next 20 years we'll see that barrier cross? There's lead assistants in hockey who are women. There's a couple of them. In the NHL, there are women on the bench as assistant coaches.
In the NBA too.
Yes. Okay. Do you think in 20 years, yes or no?
No. It's one of those bold moves that somebody would have to do first. And,
I got to admit, Becky Hammon in Vegas, I really thought she was going to replace Pop.
Yep.
She was a longtime assistant under him. They put her in charge of the summer league team the one year. She won it for whatever that's worth. But, she coached men and coached them successfully over 3 weeks. And I mean, she credits him. I mean, when she went into the Hall of Fame, most of her speech was about Pop and his influence on her. I thought when Pop retired, she was going to get the gig.
There was a lot of talk about it for sure. But
so I don't know, 20 years, I think it'll happen in the next 20. I don't think it'll happen in the next 5. So I don't think it's going to happen in the 2020s. I think it's going to happen in the 2030s. but it didn't get a lot of press. It was an, oh, by the way, but the Knicks flew down to South Carolina and interviewed Dawn Staley. And I went, huh, interesting. Because it's not like they had to. This isn't the NFL where you have to interview certain people in order to satisfy a rule.
Right. The Rooney Rule in the NFL.
Right.
Yep.
I mean, the Knicks did this. We've interviewed like 6 candidates here. We're still looking. Let's go to Columbia, South Carolina. Have lunch with Dawn Staley. Huh. Okay. I just found that interesting.
Very well. The NBA draft's come and gone. NBA free agency's underway, and the Knicks still don't have a coach.
That's right.
So what's the hurry at this point? What's the rush now?
So Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X.
Real quick, David, on that subject, and this was something, believe it or not, I heard last week on some NBA website. There was a rumor / speculation that one of the reasons LeBron James didn't sign that player option year right away was because he was talking to the New York Knicks about becoming a player coach for the Knicks. I heard that rumor last week, and I thought that was just insane. But would you put it past the Knicks?
Well, after firing Thibodeau, I wouldn't put anything past them.
A LeBron James, a player coach for the Knicks?
Just very serious question before I move on to something else. How would that work cap-wise? No, seriously. No. I'm being serious, because do you then get away with, does that count as coach's salary, which, by the way, does not go on the cap? Okay, it doesn't matter how much you pay your coach. You don't have to fit your coach under the cap. That's for players.
So would they load the money into his coaching contract to get him to lower the player contract?
But if I'm the other teams in the league, I'm like, hey, hold on a second here. He would get $50 million on the market as a player, and you're gonna, what's he counting against the cap? No. He needs to count. So that's all. If we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, Mark and I did, about you don't see it in baseball. Player managers in the 60s, 70s until the mid 80s was not uncommon.
Right.
Joe Torre was a player manager with the Mets. Frank Robinson got his start as a player manager with the Indians. Pete Rose ended his playing career as player manager with the Reds. It was not that uncommon to have guys at the end of their careers still be an active player for a couple years and then just be a full-time manager. But no, I had not heard that, by the way. And don't get me wrong, I don't put anything past the Knicks. We started talking college football last hour. I just want to throw this topic out there. Do you guys hate noon kickoffs? And I mean hate. Not I'd prefer 3:30. I'd prefer 7:30. I mean, do you hate the noon kickoff? Because there is an interesting phenomenon that's going on in the Big Ten right now. Fox runs the Big Ten. They own the majority of the Big Ten network. They're the dominant network of the Big Ten. I mean, of the 7-year TV deal, Fox gets 4 Big Ten title games, CBS 2, NBC 1. When they do first picks, Fox gets the majority of first choices every week. CBS and NBC get the rest. And yet they're apparently, now it's just a few teams because it's the high profile teams. I mean, if you're Fox, never mind CBS and NBC, you want to run Ohio State and Penn State and Michigan as much as possible. We all get it. Well, apparently, especially Ohio State, they are fed up with the noon kickoffs. And they have told Fox flat out, enough. And see, there is nothing. There was a clause. I don't know that there is now, since one network controls the SEC. But when CBS had the 3:30 games, there was a number of times that CBS could air certain teams a year. And that number was 5. And then if they made the SEC title game, you were allowed a sixth. If you wanted to air a team more than 5 times at 3:30, you had to get permission from ESPN and the SEC, and it usually involved trading of games, literally later that year or in the future. And most times the answer was no. The only time that I remember that the league stepped in, I believe the game of the century, Alabama LSU in 2011, I believe that was our second primetime game that year. We did Florida-Bama primetime in late September in the Swamp. And then when Alabama and LSU were on that collision course, and they were both 1-2 and undefeated, and CBS, said to the conference, well, I mean, we could show it at 3:30, and the conference was like, we'd really like that game in prime time. And the conference actually lobbied ESPN and said, listen, they're going to air the game. It's just a matter of will they air it at 3:30 Eastern or 8 o'clock Eastern? And we'd like them to air it at 8 o'clock. So the network, for what it's worth, actually helped get that game in prime time. That's where they wanted it. But Rick, Ohio State, there are some Ohio State home games that Ohio State is putting an awful lot of pressure on Fox and saying, could you air these games at 3:30? And then Fox is now going to CBS and going, CBS is going, wait, we've got 3:30. Fox like, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. The Buckeyes, we want the game, but they don't want to play in our slot. Now, in the Twitch chat room here.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm with them. 5-6 messages in a row say, love the noon kickoffs. Yeah. I love the noon kickoffs. So.
And Fox has made their bones in college football with the noon kickoff. Yeah. They established Big Noon as a pregame show, leading into, obviously, their game of the day. And it's usually a pretty good game.
It feels like college football on a Saturday at noon.
Gus Johnson, Joel Klatt, a lot of people like them. They like Gus's enthusiasm. So it's just pay attention to, there may be a few Big Ten games this year and in the future in which Fox is airing them and not at noon, because there's a few of the big schools who are tired of playing all their home games at noon. They say it's interfering with tailgating. It's hurting local business because you don't necessarily have to have that Saturday night hotel room, just the Friday night hotel room. So there's business reasons behind it as well. Just something to, store in the back there when the schedules come out here in a couple of months. Miller and Moulton. Seth Everett in 45 minutes, but Pat Kerwin to talk all things NFL is next. Trent Bally, an hour away in the bonus hour here on Miller and Moulton.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to nolanagency.com. That's 941-639-1122. or nolanagency.com.
With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from that fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Farrow & Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Farrow & Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Farrow & Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
Wine glasses never fall over until you get a brand new rug.
Oh, no!
Ketchup bottles act normal till you're wearing a new shirt.
Oh, you kidding me?
And rocks slide peacefully on the road till the day you get a brand new windshield. Then they fly up off the road and attack without mercy. That's why new windshields from Glass Doctor come with our windshield protection plan. Unlimited repairs and one replacement for 12 months. Don't just fix it, protect it. Glass Doctor. A neighborly company. Wine glasses never fall over until you get a brand new rug.
Oh, no!
Ketchup bottles act normal till you're wearing a new shirt.
Oh, you kidding me?
And rocks slide peacefully on the road till the day you get a brand new windshield. Then they fly up off the road and attack without mercy. That's why new windshields from Glass Doctor come with our windshield protection plan. Unlimited repairs and one replacement for 12 months. Don't just fix it, protect it. Glass Doctor. A neighborly company.
Miller and Moulton are very grateful to you, the listeners, for making us one of the highest rated shows for men, because the working man is one of the toughest demos to reach, and we do. Great sponsors like Floor Meisters, American Paint Supplies, Glass Doctor, Sleep Treatment Direct, Game Day Men's Health, and Molly Maid recognize that, and we thank them. And if you own a business and working men are your clientele, the most cost-effective way to reach them is through us. Text Miller and Moulton at 21,000 or directly via X at that Mark Miller for the David.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Good morning, fellas.
Good morning, Pat.
How are you? Hello, Rick.
Rick, can you
Hi,
adjust,
Pat.
can you adjust the banner?
I can. Yeah. Let's see here.
Look at you.
Yeah, I'm not seeing his camera out on the main.
No. Pat just goes audio.
Oh, okay. Okay. Gotcha.
He does it the way you would like to do it.
Yeah.
And technically you could, you know.
Oh, yeah. How would that look, David?
Well, it would look just like Pat. That's how you'd see it. That would be the box next to mine. We would hear you fine, but we wouldn't see you. So
Pat
think about it.
Pat has a lot more interesting things to say than I do, though. So, you know.
I don't like to wear clothes during this. That's my problem.
But Pat, apparently, okay, looking at himself Monday and Tuesday forced Rick to get a haircut yesterday. So
Rick,
I feel guilty.
it happens to all of us.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not fond of that, but that's all right. It's fine.
That's all.
I think it would look weird if it was just you, David, and then like another voice kind of chirping in once in a while, you know.
Well,
they
just
haven't
leave
fired
your
me in
name.
20 years, so I'm going with my rules. No video.
Mm-mm.
And plus, I'm always in a different place. It's the stuff that's behind me that would be on the screen that I don't really want on the screen.
You mean kind of like me on the road when you're like, wow, that's an interesting background in your hotel.
Yeah. I'd say your hotel rooms, I could grade them. Not
Yes.
good.
Do you know what the real problem is? There's no overhead lighting in hotel rooms.
No, it's always a dark shade.
Yes.
I have the same problem, but where I would be doing it up at the lake house anyway, like there's a huge glass window behind me and it looks like I'm from the Bible with a glow. And sometimes I do it in the car. That's the other problem. I put everything on the dashboard when I pull over on the side of the road if I'm driving somewhere and do this. I don't think they want to see all that.
It would actually be a pretty cool video.
Well, I've been sneaking some of my radio shows on the boat, which I don't tell them, but I got a 5G card that works on the lake. I just go out on the pontoon boat.
Fantastic.
Yep. I can
That's
only do it on
amazing.
weekday quiets, like Tuesdays when no one's on the lake. Otherwise, there's, skiers coming by and all that. But
Right.
I got a little cove where I can sit and
Well,
do this.
But if think about it, when you do the show in Southwest Florida, you got the birds that we hear in the background. So, I mean, we might as well have a few people on water skis come by you during the summer.
Yeah, well, that was another thing. The first time I did it on the lake, a couple of crazy girls up there got on their own boat, came out, anchored next to me, and were jumping up and down in bikinis, wanting to be on TV. Oh,
Feeny T messaged in, said, Rick, don't shut it off. I need to see Bob Seger.
Right.
Oh, there it is.
Okay.
He's also referring to you as Wolfman Jack.
Working on my might moves.
Yeah.
I'll stop now. All right, you got about 10 seconds, fellas.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
We are halfway home, at least in the 239 and the 904. Final hour of the show. Lake City, Live Oak, surrounding areas. Port Charlotte, Venice, surrounding areas. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Mark off all week. Friday is the 4th. We'll have a best of show. That's not the case with our next guest, Pat Kerwin. Moving the chains does not take a day off for the holiday, even a national one. Now, it may have to call in somebody off the bench. Yours truly co-hosting with Pat tomorrow afternoon and on the 4th of July. But, oh, no, moving the chains, they don't take days off. Pat Kerwin, co-host of Moving the Chains, weekdays 3 to 7 on NFL Radio. Pat joins us courtesy of Pinchers, Tampa to Key West, all points in between. Pinchers, because you can't fake fresh. Pat and all our guests joining us on the American Paint Supplies Hotline. How's your week going?
It's going great. No, we don't take holidays off. We have a significant number of our listeners are truck drivers. They don't work on the 4th of July. And 20 years ago, they asked me, can you just do shows on the holidays? I'm in my backyard having a barbecue. So all of them, Memorial Day, Labor Day, all of them, we just do them all. I will say this, since you're going to be my partner on the 4th of July, from what I was told yesterday, this is a world record. Our 4-hour show, which is 10 to 2, will be replayed 3 straight times after that. So anyone who's a friend of yours can see you over the 16 hours straight of you and me. It's like the Jerry Lewis telethon.
I actually did a couple of those. That'll bring back memories. You know, you make a good point, though. When I was in Fargo 30 years ago and just starting out on a sports station, we established ourselves on the weekends first because people were working during the week and they didn't have time to call in or stop by a live remote. But then some of our best shows, Pat, were 4th of July and Labor Day. Yeah. And just that, people home, they had us on the radio in their backyard. Obviously, it's different now. It's probably an app on a phone or what have you. But in the backyard, and they were barbecuing and what have you. And they actually had a chance to participate in a show that normally they wouldn't get a chance to participate in. And we had some of our most successful shows on holidays in Fargo.
Well, it's going to happen for you on Friday. You have a lot of followers on my show, and they'll be fired up to talk to you. You know their names. So it'll be a fun day. I'm looking forward to it. Rick, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. It's great. Good to talk to you again, Pat.
Yeah, it's always fun. But, football never ends. And the
Yep.
Steelers kind of stirred up the pot for us this week.
I was going to say, Pat, we could do a whole segment just on the Steelers. So why don't we start there? Let's go back about 36 hours. Let's go with the Jalen Ramsey, Jonnu Smith to Pittsburgh and Minka to Miami, and then a swap of day 3 picks in 2027. Your thoughts on that maneuver from both sides?
It's clear when the owner of the Steelers said enough with us not making or winning in the playoffs, they've been given the green light to go build a now team. It's kind of what the Rams did, right? When they went for their Super Bowl, we all thought, what are you doing here? But yes, I'm fired up. I do think the morale in Miami is questionable. I think they looked at their most productive receiver, tight end, Jonnu Smith, and their best cover corner, and they're gone. And I think that the Steelers, I wouldn't say they were happy to give up Minka, but I think they made Minka available to them to get the deal done, and they were moving on. They've already got the opportunity to figure out how to do the safety stuff. They won't. And I keep saying, just move Thornhill to the starter for now, but go sign Justin Simmons, who played last year and was not fairly productive. The guy had a lot of things going on, 62 tackles, a lot of tackles for loss, a couple interceptions, tons of pass defense. So just finish the project. And if you're moving Thornhill up, who's replacing Thornhill? And to me, I just go get Justin Simmons, and that wouldn't be very expensive to do. And he can get Tyler Boyd, who's a local kid. He can drive over from his house. I'd fill out my roster receiver-wise with Boyd and offer him the minimum deal and some incentives. But they're going to get Watt done, too. My conversations with guys that are there, I got my own way of doing it, but they can give him 5 years, $200 million. That's $40 million a year. $50 million signing bonus, $2 million salary. They create $9 million of cap space, and then they can pop two $37 million salaries on top of that for years 2 and 3, and they'd have an average that would still be over $40 million, and then do some descending deals on the other side of those, and they come up with a $40 million average, which is, I think, going to close the deal. They cannot do all the things they did and then trade TJ Watt. He's not going anywhere.
Pat, I found the TJ Watt noise to be laughable. You know how it works. Agents out of the side of their mouth will plant one or two things with a couple of the key NFL insiders, and then they'll run with it. And then there you go. You got your headline, you got your story. I mean, when have the Steelers ever unloaded a player like TJ Watt? And I mean it. In 55 years, when have the Steelers gotten rid of their best player?
They have done it, and they have done it in the defensive side of the ball. When free agency first started, they were one of the teams that fought the whole concept of guaranteed money and everything else. A couple of their linebackers left. One of their best defensive backs, a Hall of Famer, left. And so they've let it happen. They don't do it anymore, but they did do it in the past. The pressure that they have not performed in postseason play is directly coming from the owner, and Omar is absolutely got the green light to go do this. He's been very aggressive since he took over for Kevin Colbert, and it hasn't worked out that well. But last year they got two quarterbacks for dirt cheap, right? Russell and Fields. They got them for nothing. So they've done some of these crazy things without breaking the bank. And they got the cap space to finish off TJ. Look, TJ held out. I was at camp when he was working on the side. That's the thing I think in the league. The next time we have a CBA conference, they're going to get rid of hold-ins. They're going to say, if you're here and pass the physical, you better be at practice or we're going to fine you. That idea that the players invented, and I don't blame them for doing it, but they're going to get rid of that. These guys that go in and don't do anything, sorry, that's not how the NFL is going to operate.
I have to admit, I always think it's a great visual. They'll ride the bike half the time, and then they'll sign autographs the other half of the time. I have to admit, as somebody who's attended quite a few training camps, I'd love the idea of the teams holding one good player out of every practice and just walk up and down the sidelines and sign autographs, because the fans would love that, quite frankly. They'd rather get that than so-and-so running up and down the field.
They absolutely love the autograph stuff, and I can think of a couple of places where it goes on. But for me, if it was a running back, I wouldn't care less. Just get him healthy for opening day. There's nothing to learn. They got 5 running plays and learn how to pick up the blitz. But quarterbacks, TJ Watt, guys like that, they want them at practice. But they're going to get rid of that trick they have created, which is smart by them, but it's not going to last.
And
otherwise,
the Steelers this year are getting Rodgers for just $13 million. So 2 years in a row where the Steelers have paid very little in comparison to other teams for their quarterback. Before we move on to yesterday's footnote between the Steelers, well, really between the Giants and the Dolphins, how good do you now think Pittsburgh looks to you? You and your co-host, Jim Miller, you're doing position groups and you're ranking them. Well, how do the Steelers grade out after a very busy offseason?
Well, they always want to be known for defense there. They now have the ability to match up with the receivers in Cincinnati, and this is how they think, and the receivers in Baltimore. They were probably getting nervous about their ability to match up. And then when they were on that 4-game losing streak last year, I had Coach Cower with me the other day. We spent all day Saturday at a clinic for high school coaches. We talked about this subject, and he goes, they realized we can't play. If you're going to score points like Pittsburgh should be able to, you're going to be on sub defense most of the game, maybe 80% of the game in 5 DBs. And they didn't like the way they matched up. So now they have the 3 corners that can do it, and they feel good about that. They're trying to get younger in the front 3 defensive line, and they did draft one that I think will be pretty good. The linebackers they needed another year to get right. Patrick Queen and those guys. I think they'll be good on defense. On offense, look, Rodgers at the end of the day, if Rodgers just does for the Steelers what he just did for the Jets, they'll be right in the mix. He threw enough touchdown passes. He's a strange duck. We all know that. I don't believe it's his last year. He likes to put himself in a position to walk away from stuff. But if he has a good year and, just recovering from losing Pickens, they were getting rid of Pickens the whole time. There's a guy who's a pretty good player that they said goodbye to. They said goodbye to other strange receivers. But I would think this. I got asked yesterday. My answer was no. Can I win the division? No. I think Baltimore is still too good to be Pittsburgh winning the thing.
Well, I don't know that there's going to be a franchise that grades out better than the Raiders or the Ravens. Excuse me.
Yes.
That doesn't
you said Raiders. He was very happy you said Raiders.
I think the Ravens have the best roster in the league. That doesn't mean anything. No one's gotten hurt yet, but this to me is Super Bowl or bust for Lamar and company. Quickly, so Darren Waller unretires. The Giants own his rights. They don't want anything to do with him, so they trade him for a bucket of footballs to Miami. So Miami replaces Jonnu Smith with Darren Waller.
Well, that's a downgrade. One guy had 88 receptions, 111 targets, and 8 touchdowns. The reason he's there, and I talked to the Giants, said no one else ever called about him. It was just Miami, and it's because of Frank Smith, who coached him at the Raiders. And that's why they were able to do something with him. I'm sure they were, in fact, I know they were delighted to get a 6th-round pick for him and maybe even an extra pick the year after. But he's 33 years old. He had a medical issue. And quote from the Giants to me, we were very surprised he wanted to play again. So we'll see how that goes. But he'd have an long way to go to catch up to Jonnu Smith's. And I love this. I get, Jonnu Smith, he only had 1 year. Really? Go back to his last year with Coach Smith in Tennessee. He had 8 touchdowns that year too. So Smith's happy to have him back. And their 3 tight end package is dangerous. Holy moly.
Well, we were talking about it yesterday with Ray Fittipaldi, who covers the Steelers, that Jonnu could be lined up, in the slot or as an H-back, and then they could go with a 2 tight end look on top of it. More with Pat Kerwin next.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to nolanagency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or nolanagency.com.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 427-3441 today.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Hey, this came up from someone who listens to my show. He texted me and said he thinks people, not a lot, but he thinks some guys are going back to illegal gambling. He goes, the tax issues and everything else, he goes, bookies will be back in business. You got any thoughts on that?
We never thought bookies would go away because bookies can offer credit, and the sites
and
and
no
what have you
taxes.
don't. Yes, and there's no taxes. Okay, and there's no record of what you're doing.
Right.
Yeah. So we never thought bookies were going to go away.
Yeah. Now the new beautiful bill sounds like there's some issues in there with tax and an inability to evade them. So he said, yeah, the bookies will be back doing well.
Pat, I have never thought the guy wasn't going to do well. You know, I know a guy. I've never thought I know a guy was going to have a problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, our Saturday shows really steers right to those guys.
Sure. By the way, the show before your Saturday show has never been worse. Oh my God.
I know, but you're not available yet. Do you remember? You still have to get on a plane for Saturdays.
I know. I will be, though. I
will
will
be.
be.
I know.
I will be.
Yeah. Well, you sent me that note. It was funny. Now I have to say yes to you. I can't put you through.
I feel, and sometimes I have to jump through really big hoops, but I'm like, no, I'll make this work. I swear. If you could, the one thing they're doing though in the last month, they're giving me notice, and that's great because like even during, and I do like one show during the season because obviously you guys don't take off, but if I know in advance, I can take the equipment with me.
I know. Well, the advance is becoming because Jim's calling me,
Right.
and I know when he's got court appearances and everything else and
Right.
all that stuff. So he's so funny with everything. He's like,
has he caught on to my running joke when people, and I say, no, Jim and I contractually are not allowed to be on the show?
yeah, he loves it.
together?
He loves anything that sings,
That is right.
Nick and those guys.
Yep.
He likes it.
Contractually, we're not allowed to be on the same show.
You're not even allowed to talk to each other.
No. I texted him illegally once a few months ago. I'm not allowed to do that.
Yeah, he's struggling along here, but
yeah, he sounded. I listened to a show late last week. He sounded so down.
Yeah, it's wearing him. Well, he's going to win the whole
I
thing
know.
eventually, but it's at the point where I said to you, just got to suck it up. You cannot lose your temper here.
No.
And I said stupid things like dividing up assets.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton.
Gotta have it
And
all.
now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Our remaining moments with Pat Kerwin. You know, Pat, NFL Radio's moving the chains, and in a couple months, he's back with CBS's NFL Today show. Pat joins us courtesy of Pinchers, Tampa to Key West, all points in between. Pinchers where you can't fake fresh. Pat and all our guests, like Seth Everett in 15 minutes, Trent Bally in the bonus hour. They all join us on the American Paint Supplies hotline, your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. So this Cleveland Dome Stadium is happening.
Yeah.
It clearly, every stadium seemingly outside of Buffalo that's being built, they're putting a roof on. We're going to have fewer and fewer outdoor games. When I brought this up with Mark last week, Mark's like, yeah, as a fan, I want air conditioning. I don't want bad weather. And I'm like, yeah, but half the teams in the league kind of thrived on bad weather. That was their home field advantage. And Mark's like, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. As a fan, I want comfort and I want the best conditions possible. Are you getting any listener feedback of, Chicago may move to the suburbs and put a roof on it? Chicago. Cleveland's going to move and put a roof on it. Rick is a big Vikings fan. You and I lived through, it was a big deal with Vikings fans when they went from the outdoor Met to the indoor Met. And I'm just curious, do NFL fans care if their games are now going to be in a dome and air conditioned?
Well, there's two versions of fans. The old school guys who think they won games because it was snowing out and it was 0 degrees, Green Bay Packer fans, those kind of guys. But the modern young fans, they want comfort. And they always say the same thing on my show, like, hey, and Chicago fans have been doing it a lot lately. Hey, we need a dome because we want the Final Four. We want this, that, and the other thing. We want concerts in the wintertime. So they look at themselves now, I need to be entertained more than 9 home games. And so they do like the idea of that. And I think what you're paying for a ticket nowadays, I remember a couple of Giant games recently where I was doing some fundraiser thing, and the guys, I said, you can have 4 tickets to any Giant game. Well, the guy asked for 4 to, I think it was Washington. It was snowing like crazy. He calls me up the day before the game and goes, can I switch these tickets? I go, no, the tickets are purchased by me. They're waiting for you at the box. We can't switch now. He did not want to go in the snow. So, and he was about a 28-year-old guy. He said he was a great fan of Washington and all that business. But no, I think we've gone past that. Plus, we always talk about the snow level and the cold. Down south, they don't like sweating to death in Tampa Bay.
No.
Miami fans stopped going the second the team's shaky, which is every year.
Well, Mark has also said, having been a Florida resident for a quarter century, he won't attend a college or a pro game in the month of September because it's just too damn hot. And even in early October, oh, by the way, it can still be too damn hot, which then kind of limits us. If in the northern part of the country you're ruling out after Thanksgiving, and if in the southern part of the country you're ruling out stuff until close to Columbus Day, that's giving you about 6 weeks in which you can go and comfortably see a game.
Yeah, and the record of the team makes it sometimes a disaster. By the time the weather's comfortable in Miami, the team isn't very good. I was talking to some Miami people the other day that were on the show that had season tickets since 1972. And he said, yeah, the stadium's relatively empty. And he was frustrated. He said, Buffalo comes down and takes half of the seats because it's a winter trip for them. They love it. So, yeah, I think the domes are here to stay. I'll say I've been to a lot of them. You've been to a lot of them. The one in Houston fascinated me. We had the Super Bowl there.
Mm-hmm.
They had the roof open. And then they thought there was going to be rain. They hit a button and the roof was closed in like 20 minutes.
Yep.
That's and that stadium costs less than Giant Stadium, the big air conditioner.
No, I agree. And, that's part of doing business in the Northeast. Like the Bills Stadium is $1.4 billion. And obviously there's not going to be a roof on that. And in other parts of the country, it's like, well, we could build a dome thing for $1.4 billion. Although I do think Nashville's dome is around $2 billion. So, the price does keep going up. The other factor, like we brought this up with some beat writers in Cleveland and also in Chicago. And quite frankly, they said, hey, if you look at our track record in the last 20, 30 years, how much of a home field advantage do we really have?
No, you've been broadcasting that to me on a regular basis, that home field has disappeared.
Yes.
I'll ask Rick this question because my Minnesota Viking fans, when you had to go play at the university while they were getting the stadium done, they did not like it at all. There was nothing about being outside like the old days, Bud Grant. Nobody wears a jacket. No one wears a coat, all that stuff. Bud's famous quote, we're going outside. It's cold. Then we're going to be warm. And then we're going to be cold again. So they didn't like going outside for that.
And when they played at the Gopher Stadium, I was pretty far removed from Minnesota at that point. But I know, as somebody messaged on the Twitch chat, that, but back in the 60s and 70s, man, that was, the famous story, Bud Grant wouldn't allow heaters on the side and all that. That was a tremendous, Minnesotans loved that. They ate it up.
They did. And when we had the Super Bowl there, I was there for the whole week doing it. It was like a terrible experience. It was zero out. I had to take a cab for about 400 yards because I knew I wasn't going to make it if I walked. Forget it. The fan today, he wants to be entertained. He wants to sit at his seat and drink his beer and have a hot dog and be entertained and all that business.
By the way, we had the debate, Pat. I believe Cleveland will get a Super Bowl. Mark is not so sure. So you think, okay, because for the most part, if you build a new dome stadium, the league gives you a Super Bowl. We're all pretty convinced Nashville's going to get one. The league, by the way, needs to start announcing some Super Bowl sites. There's not many in advance that have already been announced, but we think Nashville will get one within like 5-6 years. Do you think Cleveland gets one?
Once they get over the Watson contract and get themselves calmed down again, because that thing upset a lot of people. So they may not get it right away, but they have enough hotels to do it. If you go to Nashville, I'm there enough, and you guys are there, but they're building enough hotel rooms to have the Super Bowl.
Yes.
And so I think the way they're doing a little advanced scouting is giving the draft to these cities and watching how they handle the draft. And how the influx, you get 100,000 people coming in for the draft in Cleveland, you get it. So then they want to see how that operates, how security is, and all things included in that. And from there, I think they start to get excited or eliminate cities that they don't think can handle it. But I think that's one of their ways of doing it. But a dome stadium with hotel rooms is prerequisite to getting one.
It's why Jacksonville does not qualify for Super Bowls right now. Jacksonville does not, and Jacksonville by land is the biggest city in America, and they do not have enough hotels in the city limits. Even today, 20 plus years later, they don't meet the criteria of enough hotel rooms to host the game. Even so, the Jags may be putting $1 billion into refurbishing their stadium, but I don't think Jacksonville's getting a Super Bowl, if ever again. But I don't think they get one for another generation because they need to build a lot more hotel rooms, and I'm not sure there's a need to build many more hotel rooms.
Well,
So-
that's why I think Buffalo, even though they have an outdoor stadium and they'd never have a Super Bowl, they're not big enough hotel-wise, in my opinion, to handle a Super Bowl. So they knew they weren't getting one, and they're crazy fans. We did 2 live shows with them last year. We're going to be on the road a lot this year. CBS.
Yeah. It's funny how that works. You go on the road, you get better ratings. All of a sudden, they find the money to do things, Pat, when you get better ratings. Have you noticed that?
Well, I didn't notice any change in my salary, but
that's true. That is true. And you're still eating at the same restaurants, the same people. That is true. He's Pat Kerwin. Moving the Chains is his day job. It's 3 to 7 weekdays on NFL radio during the season. He also does a show 2 to 6 on Saturdays. Pat joins us courtesy of Pinchers, Tampa to Key West, all points in between. Pinchers, where you can't fake fresh. Pat, be well. I'll talk to you tomorrow and Friday on your show.
Looking forward to it, my friend. Take care. See you, Rick.
See you, Pat.
Seth Everett is next.
Southwest Florida's scorching heat is on its way. Stay cool with Air Advantage. As a proud Ream Pro partner, Air Advantage delivers top-notch air conditioning solutions to keep you cool and comfortable. Right now, enjoy 18 months, no interest, no payments on qualifying systems. Call 433-4635 today for expert installation and unbeatable comfort all summer long. Online at myairadvantage.com. Air Advantage. Call today, 433-4635. American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from that fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine, no more snoring, no more tossing, no more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Hello.
Hey, Seth, how you doing?
Hey, how are you, bud? Nice to see you.
Yeah, you too. Yeah, you too. David and I were in the Wayback Machine earlier in the show, but I used to produce a show when they were in the afternoons, like, many
years ago. Yeah,
we
were all younger then.
Yeah, I think I used to, call you quite a bit. But back in the day, so.
Well, I appreciate the little graphic, but I haven't done that Tech Stream podcast in about 2 years.
Okay, do you want me to change it?
Well, I mean, I don't know how you got it, but
is
that an old template?
Yeah, it could be. I don't see if there's a different one.
That's fine. It doesn't offend me by any stretch.
Okay.
It's not a big deal.
Anyway, we can go with the standard one. There we go. Yeah, this is kind of my first time doing with them with all the Twitch stuff and all that. It's been really
cool, right? They do a good job.
It is. David was giving me a hard time because he noticed I got a haircut. And I said, that's from 2 days of staring at myself on the camera and thinking, oh, my God, I look like a beast.
That's funny.
So I wouldn't got a haircut yesterday just because I look at myself for, 2 days in a row.
My thing is I check the lighting. I'm always thinking of lighting.
That's funny too, because I filled in for these guys. What was it, David? Probably like maybe a year or two ago.
We can't hear you.
And we were just talking about lighting, and so Seth, when I'm usually in here, like, running a game or doing what else I do, we've got like one bank of overhead lights and then a bank of like kind of dimmer backlighting. And I always have that backlighting on. So when I filled in, I did what I always do, just had the backlighting on. And David started referring me to me as the shadow because you couldn't see me. I was.
Yeah, you look like the witness protection program.
Right. And so I said, well, that nickname is stuck. So people to this day still call me the shadow.
Right on.
Like he looked like a documentary figure on Vice TV.
Right. He knew they were going to make the arrest. He just couldn't say it.
I'm not a fan of bright lights or cameras, so this is all new to me.
There you go. Now you're in the right industry.
Yeah. Ace for radio.
David, new t-shirt.
Very nice.
Yes. It's a store called
2000. When did it go away?
2000. I was there when it was imploded. And I called into the radio station and they said, what are your emotions? What's going on through your mind right now as you watch the building come down? And I said, I think I left my sunglasses in there.
That's a classic Seth Everett line.
I did that for the old McNichols Arena too. Same joke. I've seen 3 implosions: McNichols, Kingdom, and the Veterans Stadium. But there's a really cool website. It's a store in Seattle called simplyseattle.com. And they have all kinds of random stuff like this.
I think I've been in it.
Yeah.
I know. I've been to Seattle in a couple years.
10
maybe even 3.
Yeah. But it's a storefront, but it's also a website.
Yep. Well, there you go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Mark off until Monday, enjoying a well-deserved family vacay. He got rained on yesterday. I hope the rain goes away. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Rick Church filling in quite nicely. Thank you for Mark. You can see him on YouTube or twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton. Seth Everett now joins us. You know Seth. You can follow him on X at Seth_Everett. Sports with Friends, Hall of Justice, the 2 terrific podcasts. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you? How are you manning the ship here?
Yep. Rick and I are keeping the train on the tracks. We will get the train from point A to point B. Okay. I don't know if we're going to be on time. Okay. I don't know if we're going to be early or late, but I can guarantee Conductor Church is getting us to our destination.
Just no need to call Marconi.
But boom. So if I could start with what you're wearing.
Sure.
So you're wearing a Kingdom t-shirt.
Yes, I am. I just got this.
Do you often wear clothing
from
of
old
stuff that no longer exists?
Yeah. I try to. I try to. I love wearing well, first of all, I love wearing anything Seattle and Sonics. That I don't wear Mariner stuff or Kraken or any of that stuff. I'm a Seattle Supersonics through and through. And I was on this website and I saw this shirt and I said, I gotta have this. This is awesome.
Well, more on that in a moment. I do want to sidebar here for a second to try to fully explain, since most people are not fans of Seattle sports teams
Sure.
who are listening right now. Okay, for us to say, oh, how much they love this. Lenny Wilkins last weekend got a statue in front of Climate Pledge Arena, and they're building another statue to be unveiled, I think, in a month or two, and it's for Sue Bird.
Sue Bird. Yep.
Now, granted, she at least played some games at Climate Pledge Arena, I believe. Okay, maybe not, but I think she did. Okay, but I mean, that goes to show you that is an arena that right now holds a hockey team.
Right.
And they're building statues in front of it, and they're building them of basketball players, coaches, and what have you.
Right. Well, because the arena, Climate Pledge Arena, was built on the same site as the old Seattle Coliseum and Key Arena. And it's been revamped. So they're technically the same. It's the same location where the statue is the same place. Look, all they do, they want this basketball team back. That's all they care about. And they only got that hockey team so that they could get the arena built and so they could get this basketball team. It's funny because there are so many people that I've talked to in Seattle that haven't watched an NBA game since 2008. And they are going to be really crazily reminded about how much the NBA has changed since 2008. It's a very, very different sport. But I want them to have their team back. They want their team back. They want to honor Gary Payton and Sean Kemp and Nate McMillan and those guys. That's all they care about.
Yes.
And they are obsessed with it. My friends in Seattle are obsessed with it. And my friend Dave, Softy, he does afternoons there. He has not stepped foot in a Starbucks in 18 years. In Seattle.
By the way, it was 17 years ago today that the settlement was reached. Here's $45 million. We get to leave now as opposed to 2 years from now.
Oh, the Clay Bennett deal. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Sure.
It was today, 17 years ago. Oh, by the way.
That's ironic. There's a fantastic documentary about this whole thing called Sonics Gate. I'm not sure if it's on a streaming service. I know it's on iTunes. I bought it on iTunes when it came out. It was on MSNBC at one point, so maybe it's on Peacock, but it's called Sonics Gate, and it shows you the three criminal masterminds behind that relocation. This week on Sports with Friends, I have Mark Mulder, and he gets more passionate about anything in the podcast when he talks about the A's leaving Oakland. Relocation is the most controversial, under-discussed topic in sports. And it is always about the city that loses the team, not the city that gains the team. In Arizona, when the Coyotes moved to become the Utah Mammoth, I did a podcast in Arizona, not in Utah. The story is about the loss, not the gain.
By the way, very quickly, if you were the NHL, and apparently they are adding 2 teams, it's almost now a foregone conclusion. When I listen to NHL folks, they just talk about, well, the league's going to 34. So now it's a question of where are they going? Would you go back to Phoenix or back to Atlanta first?
Atlanta, I've heard the reasons for Atlanta. Supposedly they can get a better situation in Atlanta.
Right. Supposedly
and
they already have
a huge
the 3
population
billion
increase. Yeah.
Right.
Atlanta's different. A third time's a charm, I guess, for Atlanta. I don't think Arizona should go at all. And, after hearing the research that I did when the Coyotes left, the circumstances in which they left are so untenable. There's no reason. There's no reason to give.
So you don't think that that's a hockey market? Because we were told that the reason it didn't work is ownership, and there were multiple owners.
Correct.
And they were all awful. Okay, but that actually Austin Matthews grew up there, for goodness sakes. Okay, so it's not like they don't play hockey there. But are you telling me that that's not a viable, because that's a top 10 market in the country, I mean, some places it's not, but in some places it is. I mean, it is one of the fastest growing eras in America.
And no state income tax.
Exactly. That's an issue.
That's a big story in sports. This is the second week I've been covering that on the podcast. That's a big deal that states with hard caps don't have state income tax.
Okay. Can we then talk a little bit about that? Take the no states, take the Nevadas, the Tennessees, and the Floridas and the Texases off the table. Okay. Right now, from a currency standpoint, isn't it better to be a Canadian franchise than it is an American?
Actually, I was told last week by Scott Rosner, it's the opposite. It's the other way around. And with the the income tax situation in Canada, it would behoove a hockey player to play in Nashville, not Calgary.
Okay, because I thought now with, because they're paid in American dollars.
Right.
In Canada. Okay. And I thought with the exchange rate the way it is now, that actually it's kind of a good thing to be playing north of the border. But
when the Golden Knights, there was something with the currency when the Golden Knights got created, and eventually the Kraken got created, where they were talking about adding a second team in Toronto before they would add in Vegas. I remember reading that. I mean, that was years ago, but that I remember. The interesting part about it is I just think that in this day and age, baseball teams are dealing with it, but you're seeing it more prevalent in hockey. Look at how many players the Panthers retained. It's because they're giving discounts. They're giving discounts because they're not paying income tax.
Well, listen, the Lightning did this too. It didn't get nearly as much publicity 6 years ago.
Right.
But you go back and look at Hedman for what he took. He took 8 years at like 8.5. Stamkos took 8 for 8. When they clearly could have gotten 10 plus million on the open market. But it is true, Seth. And Seth, this has happened in other sports where agents sit down and they show their client, okay, you want to play for the Lakers. Right. Well, so-and-so, the Mavericks are offering you this. If you want to play for the Lakers, they have to offer you X after taxes to be what the take home will be in Dallas. Yet, Seth, okay, until very recently, the no tax states were not winning cups. Okay.
It's a new thing. It's a new phenomenon, but the logic rings out.
Well, I agree with the logic. I mean, if your 100 million can seemingly go further than Detroit's 100 million, it seems as if you have an advantage.
Correct.
Okay. But I mean, when Bettman looked at Paul Bissonnette, before game one of the finals,
he absolutely
said,
dismissed it.
He said, you guys for 20 years, you made fun of the Panthers. And do you know why the Panthers now? He goes, now, with all things being even, do I think? Yes, it could tip the scales. He goes, but you know why people want to play in Florida now? The owner, the practice arena, the GM, the coach, and the team.
Well, yeah, but the weather that if you play in Calgary, you have to get snow boots and you can get flip-flops in Florida.
Well, there's no doubt that I mean, Marchand. Okay, I mean, here's the other thing.
There's no way Brad Marchand was going back to Boston. Well, I don't care what the Boston folks say.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, this did not get reported enough. When the Bruins were trying to trade him, okay, and he didn't want to be traded. When he finally agreed to be traded, he gave him only one team. I mean, hey, no taxes in Dallas. Dallas had gone to the conference finals 2 years in a row.
They did the 3 straight conference finals.
Right. He could have gone to Edmonton. He 100%. Could have gone to Toronto.
100%.
Okay. He literally said, I really don't want to get traded. But I'll tell you what. Okay. I hear they have Dairy Queens, and I know they're pretty good. Send me to Florida. By the way, I have not heard of a national. I mean, Dairy Queen is yet to sign him. Okay. Don't you think they have to do something?
I mean, how come it hasn't been done yet?
I know.
Did you see in New Jersey? I'm going on a massive tangent here, but in New Jersey, in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, they just opened a Roy Rogers, and it had a line out the door. Google it. It had a line out down the street for people in Cherry Hill to go to this Roy Rogers.
I didn't.
It is all over my TikTok feed, and I love it. I mean,
I didn't think that there was Roy Rogers anymore. I I grew up next to a mall. I grew up in Edison, New Jersey.
Yep.
Thomas Edison was known as the Wizard of Menlo Park. I
Yep.
lived literally next to
The
Menlo Park and Menlo Park Mall. And on the other side of the mall was a Roy Rogers.
Correct. Now it's a White Cat. There's a White Castle there. I know exactly where you are. Yep. Yeah.
Wow. Roy Rogers. Don't laugh, Seth. Make fun of those people waiting in line. I don't know if Rick would be one of them, but I would have been one of those people waiting in line.
If it was less than an hour drive, I'd be there. Oh my God. Does he go to Roy Rogers?
And as All Risk is pointing out, of all the cities in America, but I mean, it's tough to get more upscale than Cherry Hill, New Jersey.
I know.
I mean, really, of all the places for the Roy Rogers,
I'm telling you, search Roy Rogers on TikTok. You will see these people waiting for hours to get into the Roy Rogers.
Wow. Hey, quickly, do you think Mulder, like
Mark Mulder, former pitcher?
Right. Well, you mentioned
on Sports with Friends.
He's on. I don't know if it's this week or coming up soon.
No,
Mark
he's
Mulder,
on this
Sports
week
with Friends. Okay, that he was most passionate about all the things you talked about. He was most passionate about the A's leaving Oakland.
100%.
I wondered aloud when they broke ground a week or so ago. They had Raleigh Fingers as one of the two A's players.
How much did they pay him?
Exactly, and I was wondering. Okay, Zito, Mulder, Hudson, Jeremy Giambi. I mean, is there a price?
Eric Chavez.
True.
Oh, I could do early 2000s Oakland A's, no problem. I could go down the rabbit hole.
Well, yeah, because you did shows, and they were one of the franchises that cooperated with MLB.
The
media.
Oakland A's were so wonderful at the beginning of MLB radio, and I did a weekly show with Barry Zito. Tim Hudson did a weekly show with other guys with Billy Sample on MLB radio.
And they didn't get paid, right?
No, they didn't get a dime. Josh Beckett never got a dime either. Josh Beckett did a weekly. I did a weekly with Josh. Josh Beckett's one of my favorite people. I know he's a punk, but he is one of my favorite human beings in baseball. I did a weekly with him for years.
Right.
Not as long as Zito, though. Zito was one of the earliest adopters. He would do a thing where you could email questions to Barry Zito, and he would answer every question. We would have him on for half hour, 40 minutes. It was great.
All right, we got less than a minute. So Mark Mulder's on Sports with Friends.
Yes, listen to the part where he talks about the A's. I mean, the whole podcast is good, but he gets passionate, like not tears, but like animated.
Probably angry, yeah. Hall of Justice, what do you got?
A young man named Hudson Thames. Sounds very proper, but he's not. He's from America. Hudson is the voice of Peter Parker in the brand new Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man Disney Plus series. And it's an interesting series, and he's a really cool dude. And I got a chance to meet Hudson Thames. It just sounds like a very formal name.
Oh, it does.
He's not. He's from the U.S.
He sounds like he's on at the bottom of the first page of the golf leaderboard.
Right. Okay. Hudson Thames and Weethusen in a pairing.
Either that or he's playing in the second round of Wimbledon later today. Yes.
Wimbledon. We could have talked about Wimbledon. Pegula and Coco.
Yeah. At 6 top 10
What's
seeds.
my argument? Women's tennis, always wide open. It's always a free-for-all. In the men, I could put money on who the finals are, but in the women, you never know.
Seth Everett, Sports with Friends, Hall of Justice. Follow him on X at Seth_Everett. Trent Bally is next.
American Paint Supplies. For nearly 30 years, your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
Thanks, buddy.
If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Wine glasses never fall over until you get a brand new rug.
Oh, no.
Ketchup bottles act normal till you're wearing a new shirt.
Oh, you kidding me?
And rocks slide peacefully on the road till the day you get a brand new windshield. Then they fly up off the road and attack without mercy. That's why new windshields from Glass Doctor come with our windshield protection plan. Unlimited repairs and one replacement for 12 months. Don't just fix it, protect it. Glass Doctor, a neighborly company.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to nolanagency.com. That's 941-639-1122. or nolanagency.com.
With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 239-427-3441 today.
Miller and Moulton are very grateful to you, the listeners, for making us one of the highest rated shows for men, because the working man is one of the toughest demos to reach, and we do. Great sponsors like Floor Meisters, American Paint Supplies, Glass Doctor, Sleep Treatment Direct, Game Day Men's Health, and Molly Maid recognize that, and we thank them. And if you own a business and working men are your clientele, the most cost-effective way to reach them is through us. Text Miller and Moulton at 21,000 or directly via X at that Mark Miller or the David.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Well, on paper, Tiafo and Nori is a good little match. I think Wimbledon's Djokovic's only shot to get that 25th slam. I mean, he can get I don't think he can win 7 matches on clay or the hard courts against the guys unless there's upsets. But to have to go through who he has to go through, he can get to the quarters. He can win in the quarters. He can beat Zverev, but a lot of pressure on those Brits, Michael. A lot of pressure on those Brits. I want to know, what side of the draw, like Djokovic got the 6th seed, which is a joke. But in the, was he supposed to meet the 3 seed Zverev in the quarters? And now that he got beat, does he meet Alcaraz or Sinner in the semis? So I think Djokovic can win Wimbledon with the other guys still in the tournament. I don't think he can win the others. I think he can get to the semis, maybe to a final. Michael, he has not announced it's his last year. So.
Hello.
Don't be yelling at us today.
Detroit, hello.
We didn't do anything to get yelled at.
Hello.
Yeah, your mic was a little loud yesterday, Trent.
Yeah, I don't know why that is. I can turn it down.
No. You're better today.
Okay.
You were at full volume yesterday.
Shocker. How's the show been?
Well, fine.
Good.
Yeah. I mean, there's always a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
At least, I don't know. We're goober enough to think there's a lot to talk about. Maybe there isn't.
10 seconds.
I love time cues, Rick. Let's go.
Yeah.
I love that. I used to give these guys time cues all the time. They'd give me crap for it.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Mark's off for the rest of the week. Rick Church on the other side of the glass in the 239. And we welcome Trent Bally, former producer, now producing and sports talk hosting in Michigan as part of the Michigan Sports Network. We welcome him in during the bonus hour yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Friday, we're off. Best of on the 4th. Wishing you all a happy holiday right now if you're leaving town and going on vacation early. I am going to guess about something that you guys were talking about in Michigan this morning, and you were sticking your chests out and you were pounding your chest and going, see how great we are. I'm guessing the Sunday night baseball ratings for the Tigers and the Twins.
It got mentioned. It wasn't mentioned nearly enough or discussed nearly enough as it probably should have been, but it was mentioned.
It was mentioned? Wait a minute. What the hell else you talking about?
Well,
Seriously.
here's the thing.
Hold on. The Tigers got rained out yesterday, and the Lions aren't playing for 2 months, and neither's Michigan or Michigan State. Okay? And you guys get Yankees, Red Sox, Yankees, Dodgers, Mets, Dodgers ratings, okay? And you just mention it in passing? Wow. Apparently, this Pistons Wings free agency is really big.
David, with all due respect, I got to give you some kudos here because you are more in tune with the network ratings and things like that. The average listener has no idea what they're talking about.
Yeah, but you guys, no, and this is a compliment. Okay, Rick's a big Minnesota sports fan. Minnesota teams and fan bases are very colloquial. They are very proud. Okay, if there's a choice, last cuts on the Vikings, and one guy went to Minnesota or St. Cloud State, and the other guy went to LSU, they want the St. Cloud State kid on the team. Okay, they're very proud of their own. So are Michiganders. Okay, and I thought that this would be a big discussion point that, hey, first off, I think it shows how many Tigers fans there are.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, it's one of those franchises. They haven't had a lot of success recently. They went through a 10-year period here where they were just flat not good. Okay.
Terrible.
But that there's a lot of people, they may not live in Michigan now. Okay. And we know where half of them moved to, right down I-75 to Florida. Okay. But seriously, I think it showed this is one of those franchises that, hey, once they're good, you'd be surprised how big their fan base is.
Yeah, it's definitely worth talking about. It's one of those things where, like, in the NHL, you have the term of original six, but you don't really have that in baseball. But the Tigers, if you did have an original six, would be in that mix, right?
Oldest
talk about
franchise in the American League, right?
And you talk about iconic baseball caps and all that kind of stuff that doesn't pertain to what we're talking about necessarily. But you're right that the Tigers are back, and it's good for baseball, and the numbers show that.
Yes, to the surprise, but the delight of many And it could just be a coincidence, but Monday, ESPN and Major League Baseball started talking again. Okay. And I want you to think of the girl in your life that you had the nastiest breakup with. Okay. No, I do. And then I want you to consider, and public breakup too. Remember,
reconciling.
This is very public. So this is you two having the breakup at like the most popular restaurant in town on a holiday when her family's at one table and your family's at another.
And the mayor's at the bar.
Totally. I mean, that's the breakup that ESPN and Major League Baseball had. And then 3 months later, okay, your two families are going, did you see Trent's talking with her again? Okay, what the hell's going on? Okay. We had to take the weapons out of their hands so they didn't harm each other. What? I'm just saying, I find it, the timing is interesting. Sunday Night Baseball up 11%. The Tigers drawing 2 million for the Twins. Okay. Just point that out.
No, you're absolutely right. It's something to be discussed, and it's not the Red sport.
It's not the Red Wings acquiring a new goalie. I get it, and bringing, it's not the Pistons, okay, trading Tim Hardaway Jr. essentially for Duncan Robinson. By the way, bad move.
You think that's a bad move?
Yeah. I think Tim Hardaway Jr. is a better player than Duncan Robinson. And
Wolverine on Wolverine crime, by the way. That was talked about this morning. And the fact that now you've got Duncan Robinson reuniting with who's the other Wolverine the Pistons have? People up here care, and that's what we talked about.
I just said
all morning.
I just said the Michiganders, Minnesotans, if they had their druthers, they would have a very homegrown team. It's true. A lot of other fan bases, they don't care. A buddy of mine who's a Yankees fan famously told me 15 years ago, we could have Saddam Hussein in left field if he hit 35 homers and drove in 100 runs. But don't care. Just don't care. Right.
Homers. No, it's Karis LeVert. That's who I was thinking of. The Pistons just acquired Karis LeVert.
I'm glad we remembered Karis
LeVert. Cleared that up.
Really glad. There.
Go green.
Yeah, whatever. In honor of Mark, I'll say go white. Okay, but as you could tell, my heart's not really in it. Miller and Moulton on this hump day, getting over the hump. Trent Bally joining us from Grand Rapids, Michigan. By the way, are you on 96.1 with the sign behind you? You are?
Yeah,
okay.
that's our flagship.
Okay, well, that's pretty good on an FM.
Yeah.
I mean, you're heard by more people than we're listening to you probably in Southwest Florida with some of the signals we're on. I mean, we're on like 2 tin cans in a string.
Yeah, I don't even care about that though. I'm at that age, David, where I just want to have fun, and you guys are fun. I like this show.
I thought you were going to say I'm at that age where no one listens to the radio. It's all on an app. Okay, that's what I thought you were going to say. And it's Rick true. And I were both prepared for it. As a couple of guys who have devoted our lives to this business, and we want our careers back. We'd like a do-over. That's what I thought you were going to say.
No, I love what's the word? Terrestrial radio? Torrential rain?
Terrestrial radio.
I do love it.
For what it's worth, by the way, I guess they announced yesterday Colin Cowherd is going to go in the Radio Hall of Fame. And I know there are a lot of people that don't like Cowherd now. But Cowherd said, I've done a lot of things, and I've been lucky enough to do some television at the network level and local level. But all I really wanted to do was radio. I was a kid and, only child, and the radio was my friend. And all I ever wanted to do was radio. So, hey, Rick and I will finish our careers on the radio, Trent. We don't know how much longer you're going to be on the radio because we don't know how much longer they will be.
Radio's going to exist.
Okay. It's kind of like the news.
You're not going to do a podcast? I hear that's the new thing with the kids, David. And the podcast. Come on.
Well, Rick, you edit it, you send it to Trent, and he posts it. That's the only reason I do a podcast.
Yeah.
Okay. Otherwise, no. That would be a no. Miller and Moulton. Listen, your Big Ten bias may come through here, but we were talking earlier. Paul Feinbaum said Arch Manning will be the best college quarterback since Tim Tebow. And I'm just curious, in your lifetime, this century, okay, best college quarterbacks were, and you don't have to list them in order, but when you think of the best college quarterbacks of your lifetime, you're approaching your mid-20s, they were who?
Well, Tim Tebow obviously is number one. Baker Mayfield honestly comes to mind, and that might.
Fair enough. No, I mean, won a Heisman. Okay, took Oklahoma to a playoff. All right. I mean, keep going.
Robert Griffin III.
Interesting. RG3 also won a Heisman. Okay. Some argued should have had Baylor in the playoff. They got pushed to the side.
More Big Ten bias here, but Connor Cook for my Michigan State Spartans.
Oh, come on. Honestly, are you serious? You really think you should be brought back for the next segment after saying that?
I've only been alive for 25 years.
I understand. Okay, Carson Palmer, Matt Leinart, Vince Young.
Okay, yes, but that was when I was young. Like, I don't remember those guys. I don't remember watching those guys the way I remember.
Here, just going to throw a few.
Johnny Manziel, good one.
Jameis Winston, Deshaun Watson, Trevor Lawrence, anything. Anybody here?
Deshaun Watson is that's a big omission on my part. Because he did win. Did he win one or two national championships?
I believe he only won the one.
Okay.
He played for one and lost in 2015. Came back, I believe, as a senior and won it in 2016 on the pass to the walk-on with 1 second to go. Then I think their second one was Trevor as a freshman.
Okay. Another one would be Russell Wilson. With the Badgers, not the NC State Wolfpack, the Badgers.
So, okay. All right.
But yeah, no, to your point, David, I do think that the root of this whole argument, like Paul Feinbaum just blatantly throwing that out there, it's pretty egregious.
Well, it was kind of like you mentioning the Michigan State quarterback. I mean, honestly, I mean, in fact, that could be our poll question tomorrow. Okay, what's a more ridiculous statement? Paul Feinbaum, Arch Manning's the best quarterback since Tebow, or Trent Bally saying, one of the greatest quarterbacks of this century was, what was his name again?
Connor Cook.
Connor Cook, yes.
Went to the college football playoff, by the way. Also, what if I would have said J.J. McCarthy?
I would have laughed in your face. Okay,
okay, thank you.
No, that's like saying Greg McElroy. Okay,
yes.
Yes, the team won a natty. You handed the ball off and threw a few passes to the tight end.
Trent Dilfer.
We're not going there. Unbelievable. By the way, yes, Cook did take Michigan State to the playoff. You do know they lost 35-0, right?
Oh, I do.
Okay,
I do.
All right. You conveniently left that point out. Yeah. Miller and Moulton, and somebody booked Trent Bally for the bonus hour. That's my fault. I thought he'd have something to contribute, and he contributed Connor Cook or whatever the hell his name was.
Southwest Florida's scorching heat is on its way. Stay cool with Air Advantage. As a proud Ream Pro partner, Air Advantage delivers top-notch air conditioning solutions to keep you cool and comfortable. Right now, enjoy 18 months, no interest, no payments on qualifying systems. Call 433-4635 today for expert installation and unbeatable comfort all summer long. Online at myairadvantage.com. Air Advantage. Call today, 433-4635.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 239-427-3441. 427-3441 today.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Twitch chat room, how we doing? Johnny Mac, you're funny. Baby Jules, always good to talk to you. All you guys. Also, shout out to my uncle. I think he's watching right now. Uncle Tom, hello. But yeah, this morning was filled with just like NBA free agency talk, Tigers talk. Tigers got rained out yesterday. So they got there's a double header today. So we previewed that. I don't know. Maybe not the best radio. But this is why I like David's brain. David brings, intriguing topics to the table. Speak of the devil.
Did you check your phone?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you could text it to me.
Okay.
Headed back to Trenton, DTW. Do you mean Jersey?
I just sent you an article, David. It's 10 guys who might be retiring after this upcoming season.
Gotcha.
And we did a segment on it this morning that people seem to like, which was how many of these guys would you talk out of retirement? Kelsey, Flacco, Stafford, etc. Calais Campbell. Rick, how you doing?
I'm doing all right, my friend. For a cat who's had to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning for the last 3 days and is normally a night person. So all things considered, very well. We got about 8 seconds.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Normally, I say the good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap today was the day when, but I don't do the good, bad, and ugly. That's a Mark thing. And
it should be.
Yeah. So when Mark's off, we don't do the good, bad, and ugly. We do today was the day when, and not just because it's sponsored. Okay. We do today was the day when, and we do what's on tap because those two things really, really interest me. But when I invite Trent on, okay, I like one segment to be whatever it is I want to talk about, and then one segment to be whatever it is that Trent wants to talk about. So since I took over the first segment, what do you got? What's on your mind?
Well, I want to ask you, we talked about this a little bit on our show this morning. There are 10 guys, CBS Sports came out with an article, 10 guys that could be in their final season, okay? Travis Kelce hinting at retirement is what prompted the article. So how many of these guys, we'll go through all 10 real quick, would you want to talk out of retirement to be on your team? So Travis Kelce's number one on the list.
Yeah, I would not talk him out of retirement.
You wouldn't?
No. Now, I thought he was banged up last year. I don't want to say he looked heavy, but he looked slow.
Agreed.
For me. Okay. Yep. And I thought you saw it. He couldn't get downfield for the most part unless he was completely uncovered. He averaged 7.7 yards a catch. He still can get open in the red zone. Him and Mahomes will always have a connection. But my guess is he comes back lighter this year and he gives us everything he's got left in the tank. And then I'd like to see him. He's going to the Hall of Fame. Go get engaged. Okay. And keep cashing the checks from the podcast.
97 catches last year, though. I mean,
I know.
He still produces, say what you want. And I agree with you about, it didn't really look like he had his fastball, so to speak. Aaron Rodgers.
If he plays the way he did his last year in Green Bay, even, which was a down year for him because he was coming off of MVP seasons. But if he can play like that for the Steelers, that's better quarterback play than they've had in the last 5 years. I would want him to play one more year. So I'm on the fence, but I'm leaning. I think he's going to be decent this year, and I would want him to give it one more college try.
No, I agree, and I think it's interesting to kind of talk about the Aaron Rodgers thing because you're right. He hasn't really been great since 2021, maybe.
Yes.
His last year in Green Bay, like you said, he was okay. He wasn't very good at all.
No, he was inconsistent.
And they missed the playoffs.
Couldn't win the final game at home against Detroit to make the playoffs. Right. So he was starting to slip.
He was pretty good the last half of last season, though. He was. So
he was awful in Buffalo, and I wonder if that's old guy in the bad weather, or was that just the Jets couldn't compete against the Bills? He was awful in that game, but he was pretty good in like 6 others in the second half of the year. I mean, he threw for over 3,800 yards and nearly 30 touchdowns. I mean, tell me the Steelers wouldn't take that right now.
But, Rick, you bring up a good point in that I think that's kind of why he's on this list. Is like Aaron Rodgers, if he can get back to what he was the second half of last year and his last year in Green Bay, or the second to last year in Green Bay, of course you talk him out of retirement, even though he's 40. This next one is probably going to be quick, but Joe Flacco.
Listen, there are a lot of reports saying he's not going to beat out Kenny Pickett for the starting job. And if that's the case, he should retire now.
Yep.
He shouldn't even wait to the end of the year if that's the case.
Matthew Stafford.
You got to be kidding me.
Yeah. No, trust me. You don't have to tell me twice.
I think it's absurd if Matthew Stafford retires. I know he has been beaten up. He has. But he's a top 10 quarterback in this league, and I'll go to my death arguing that right now. Right now, he's a top 10 quarterback in this league still. No way should he retire.
We talked about it this morning. I would take him over Jared Goff right now.
I would too.
Calais Campbell.
He's going to be 39 when the season starts. He's remarkable. He was productive with the Dolphins last year. Listen, if he can play like he did last year, then, lace him up again. I just wonder if he can match what he did with the Dolphins last year.
Right. And that's the question. I'd take him. I'd try to talk him out of retirement. Bobby Wagner.
I don't think he's the tackling machine that he was, particularly at the line of scrimmage. I think he's starting to make a lot of tackles 3 and 4 yards downfield. But no, I think he's got another year in him. I think you start finding his replacement in 2026 and working him in the lineup, but no.
So maybe I can redeem myself here with this comment I'm about to make. So the best linebacker of my lifetime, no question, is Ray Lewis. All right?
In your lifetime.
In my lifetime.
Right.
Since 1999, Ray Lewis. I would argue Bobby Wagner is right there at number 2. So, and he's still playing at a high enough level that I would try to convince him to come back in the spirit of this segment.
I'd mention the Urlacher guy or the Luke Kuechly guy, but I got you.
I could honestly, I could hear out Luke Kuechly more than Urlacher, but that's
okay.
That's because that's just me.
That's because he played for the Bears, and you're biased. I'm sorry, but continue.
I watched a lot of Urlacher. Levante David.
I think he has at least as much in the tank as Bobby Wagner. Okay, I do.
Trent Williams.
I think he has less in the tank than both those guys, to be honest with you.
Really?
Yeah, I would. Because Bobby Wagner and Levante David both stay healthy. Trent Williams does not. He's also 3 years older than both. Now, I know offensive linemen can play older, but, no, I might hope that this is it for Trent Williams.
And maybe, honestly, David, maybe last season kind of weighed on him in a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, he's been on competitive teams. They've been on a Super Bowl push.
Well, and this is a huge bounce back year for so many 49ers guys who got hurt last year.
Yeah.
McCaffrey, Trent Williams, key guys. They have to, they're wide receivers, for goodness sakes. They have to stay healthy.
Russell Wilson.
Well,
your guy.
I think he will retire because I don't think there will be a starting quarterback job available to him in 26. And I don't see him willing to be a backup.
Being a journeyman, being a backup, prolonging his career, he probably just will hang him up. Do you think he makes the Hall of Fame? Separate question.
No. You think of the Seahawks who might have made the Hall of Fame if they had handed the ball off to Marshawn Lynch. Seriously.
Yeah.
It may keep Pete Carroll out. I think it definitely is keeping Russell Wilson out. Listen, I even wonder a couple of the guys on defense, whether they're going to get in now. If they were part of back-to-back Super Bowl champion teams, I think that the Wagners and the Shermans of the world walk right in. Now I'm not so sure.
Last one, Kirk Cousins.
No, because I actually think there'll be a job for Cousins in 2026 somewhere.
I do too.
And Kurt's never walked away from a dime, and he's got 2 years and 70 million left on his contract after this year. So, yeah, Cousins is not retiring. He'll get let go by the Falcons after this year, and he'll be a starter somewhere. Like, you don't think at the beginning of next year he'll be better than anybody the Saints have? There's a couple of you don't think he'll be better than anybody the Colts have?
Well, look what your Giants just did with Russell Wilson.
But they're going to turn it over to Jackson Dart. But I'm just talking about places where I'm pretty sure Kirk Cousins could start in 2026. I think there's 3 of them right now.
Fair.
So, okay. All right. Interesting. All right. It's always nice when the kid in his mid-20s starts talking about people retiring. That's good. That's usually something that, Rick or myself would have brought up, but okay. Today was the day when next.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to nolanagency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or nolanagency.com.
Wine glasses never fall over until you get a brand new rug.
Oh, no.
Ketchup bottles act normal till you're wearing a new shirt.
Oh, you kidding me?
And rocks slide peacefully on the road till the day you get a brand new windshield. Then they fly up off the road and attack without mercy. That's why new windshields from Glass Doctor come with our windshield protection plan. Unlimited repairs and 1 replacement for 12 months. Don't just fix it, protect it. Glass Doctor, a neighborly company.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
Defining a new era in men's health. Get stronger and healthier at Game Day Men's Health. With our in-house laboratory, get in, get treated, and get back to your passion and purpose. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs or Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for a 10% discount on your service. Start living your best with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples. Call 239-427-3441 today.
This is Miller and Moulton.
David, on the subject of Aaron Rodgers, I fill in on the afternoon show a lot, and I have been ridiculed severely over the last couple of months because as a Vikings fan, I thought they were just insane not to. Clearly, Aaron Rodgers wanted to come to Minnesota.
Yes.
And, my concern all along has been with the players they have, the free agency moves they made. I equated, if you've got, JJ McCarthy's your only option. Okay. But if, I kind of equated it to like handing the keys of a Maserati to someone just coming out of driving school. You know what I'm saying? I'm so concerned about that. And I thought, well, if you had a chance to bring in Aaron Rodgers, I was just telling David how I've been ridiculed on other shows as a Vikings fan for desperately wanting the Vikings to sign Aaron Rodgers, and he's so clearly wanted to come here. But like I was saying to David, I'm concerned about JJ. Obviously, it's kind of like hope for the best, prepare for the worst. But I said with the free agency moves they made and the talent they have on that team, I said it kind of feels like they're handing the keys to a Maserati to someone in driving school. And boy, it could go either way. But I and every time I said that, people were like, "Oh, you're crazy." People just, Aaron Rodgers is someone people love to hate, especially right now.
Yep.
But I really wish he had come to Minnesota, man. I would have been excited for that.
Well, and I'm serious about this. If you were to take the quarterbacks out of the equation, Vikings roster, Lions roster.
Yeah. Vikings roster.
I might take the Vikings roster.
I might take it as one of the top 2 or 3 rosters in the NFL right now.
Well, I don't know. I think it could be the second best roster in the conference.
That's a good question. That's a really good question.
They've had a good offseason. They upgraded their offensive and defensive lines and didn't lose anybody.
Right.
Okay. They're a good team.
Yep.
Well, we'll see.
You know what my answer is, but I definitely.
But if you took the quarterbacks, out of the equation,
yep.
Would it be your answer?
I think the Lions offense, honestly. I know they've lost a couple guys on the O-line, but I think the Lions offense gives it the edge.
I'm just talking about roster.
I know. I'm just saying. I think the Lions offense is that much better than the Vikings, and the Vikings do have a good offense, but the Lions are just. I think the Lions are the best offense in the league.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
22 minutes till we're out of here. One more live show tomorrow. Best of Miller and Moulton on Friday. Mark off for the rest of the week. He will be back on Monday. Rick Church, Trent Bally, joining us for this final segment. Listen, I don't do a good, bad, and ugly, so we might as well get to, what it is contractually we have to do. Time now for Today Was the Day When, brought to you by Game Day Men's Health. Mention Miller and Moulton. Say, man, those guys suck. You still get 10% off. Okay? Game Day Men's Health, Naples, Bonita Springs. Give them a call, 427-3441, 239-427-3441, GameDayMen'sHealth.com.
It's that time again, nearing the end, but not quite there yet. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
By the way, 57 and 64, the football magic numbers. Okay, 7 weeks tomorrow. College football season kicks off in earnest. All right, 8 weeks tomorrow, actually. 9 weeks tomorrow, the Eagles host the Cowboys. For those of you that count the preseason, I think it's 4 weeks tomorrow, the Hall of Fame game.
Yep.
So there. This day in 1776, the Continental Congress voted for independence from Great Britain.
Great.
Yeah, it's worked out well so far. Salvation Army founded on this day in 1865. President James Garfield shot on this day in 1881. He lived for 80 days before dying. Helen Wills Moody won the first of her 8 Wimbledons today in 27. Carl Hubble, pitching for the New York Giants, threw 18 shutout innings to beat the Cardinals 1-0.
Wait, the New York Giants?
Yeah.
What year was this?
1933.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah. They had 24, 25 more years before they went out west. There basically wasn't a West in the 30s.
No, I'm a young guy. I had to
I know you are.
clarify that.
I know you are. Good and bad on this day in 37. Don Budge won the first of his back-to-back Wimbledons, but Amelia Earhart disappeared. Yeah, that's quite the dichotomy there, good and bad.
For good, right? She disappeared for good.
Yes, she didn't just, get mad at her boyfriend and, take the weekend away. Joe DiMaggio hit a 3-run homer on this day in 41 to set the all-time record for a 45-game hitting streak. Obviously, he would hit an 11 more before he was stymied.
It'll never be broken.
What's amazing is we haven't had anybody except Pete Rose get to 40.
No one's even come close. It'll never. People talk about like Wilt's 100-point game. Joe DiMaggio's hitting streak will never be broken, ever.
Benito Santiago and Paul Molitor both got to 39, and Pete Rose 44. Those are the 3 closest to DiMaggio since he set the record 80-plus years ago.
Wow.
Okay, we just told you about Carl Hubble with the 18 shutout innings, arguably the greatest pitched game of all time. A couple of Hall of Famers, Juan Marichal and Warren Spahn on this day in 63. Both took a shutout into the 16th until Willie Mays homered off Spahn to give the Giants a 1-0 win.
That is awesome.
Yep.
Into the 16th.
Imagine
they almost doubled.
Yes. Imagine going 15 shutout innings and you're looking at a no decision unless you go back out there.
That's crazy.
President Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act today in 64. Billie Jean King won her first Grand Slam title, Wimbledon, today in 66. Chris Evert won the second of her 3 Wimbledon titles. She beat Yvonne Goolagong-Cawley 8-6 in the third.
You hear that, Jim Rome? Did you hear that?
On this day in 77, we had a lot going on. First off, and Trent, I thought of you. Gonna Fly Now, the theme to Rocky, hit #1 in America on this day in 77. It's not Rocky 3 or 4, but it's Rocky, and it's Bill Conti with Gonna Fly Now, #1 in the country in 77. Remember, we were doing an awful lot of cocaine. And Borg beat Connors for the second of his 5 in a row at Wimbledon, 6-4 in the 5th. Martina won the 4th of her 9 Wimbledons today in 83 over Andrea Jaeger. Steffi beat Martina in 3 for the 3rd leg of what turned out to be her Golden Slam, where she won all 4 majors and won the gold medal.
Outstanding.
1997, when he was popular, Will Smith and Men in Black premiered. By the way, has anybody heard Will Smith's new song? I would nominate it as one of the 10 worst songs of all time. No, I'm serious about this one.
Along with okay. I want to pick your brain. Along with what else? What else would you put in the top 10?
Well, probably the theme to Rocky 3 and Rocky 4. But I mean, no, seriously. I mean, I challenge anyone later today to go download Will Smith's new song. He released it like a week ago. It's the worst thing I've ever heard. It's unbelievable. It's us going into a studio and producing something and going, huh? What do you think? Summer hit?
So as you like to say, this just in, David Moulton, not a fan of Will Smith's new song.
No, horrendous, awful. Venus beat Lindsay Davenport in what was an epic Wimbledon final, 9-7 in the third. It was the third of her 5 Wimbledon titles. And a sad day, 17 years ago today, in which, well, the guy who owns Oklahoma City, Mr. Bennett there, he was able to talk the city of Seattle into accepting a $45 million check to get himself out of the final 2 years of their lease and move the team effective immediately to Oklahoma City. And certainly noteworthy, 4 years ago today, the U.S. withdrew from Afghanistan. Now, we didn't do a good job, okay, at all, but we did leave. Birthdays and those that would have celebrated them today. Thurgood Marshall would have been 117. Medgar Evers, 100. Larry David is 78. King Richard Petty is 88. Ashley Tisdale is 40. Lindsay Lohan is 39. Margot Robbie is 35. Okay.
Those last 3 make me feel old.
But you're smiling. So
Ashley Tisdale was on sitcoms that I watched as a kid.
Right. Oh, she's
40?
40. Yes. Okay. Jose Canseco is 61, and figure skater and someone who loves Broadway, Johnny Weir, is 41. And that was the day when.
I don't even know who Ashley Tisdale is, so I guess that makes me the old one. I have no idea
You
who
may,
that is.
you may, if you look her up. Okay, like if you see her, you may go, "Oh yeah." Okay, I'm just saying, maybe not. Okay,
Never heard the name before, but
okay.
I'm just saying they do this. They do this thing with these childhood sitcoms where like a 26-year-old is playing a 14-year-old or whatever, right? Like it passes. I can't believe she's 40 because when I was a kid and I was watching The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, or I was watching Phineas and Ferb, she was playing a 16-year-old. So the fact that she's 40 just blows my mind. Go ahead, David.
Remember, I mean, you're too young for this, but Travolta and Olivia Newton-John were in high school in Greece. No, seriously, just take a look at the movie for 5 minutes and make you realize, wow, okay, I didn't realize they had 27, 28-year-olds in high school back in the day.
Yeah, exactly.
They must have been pushed back a few years.
That's Hollywood.
She also was in High School Musical, Rick. I don't know if that would help or not.
I'm looking her up. No, I don't. The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody,
Right.
High School Musical.
Yep.
No clue.
One of the Disney gals. Okay. Just
Okay.
didn't know if
I'll bet my son knew who she was and probably would be really embarrassed by me right now.
well,
But
it wouldn't be the first time, right?
oh, yeah. You said something there, my friend.
So that's okay. Lindsay Lohan's not even 40 yet. She's seemingly been around forever. So,
But see, that's the thing, David. If you asked me who's older, Lindsay Lohan or Ashley Tisdale, I would
say
Lindsay Lohan,
right,
no doubt. But she's not. Good for her.
So everybody's playing today in baseball. We've got a bunch of double headers because, well, we had 3 games rained out yesterday. We got the Phillies and Padres playing 2. We got the Nats and Tigers playing 2. We got the Mets and Brewers playing 2. And I think we're going to have 1.5 in Boston because the Red Sox and Reds have to pick up a suspended game in the 4th at 2-1. So there is a lot of baseball today. For what it's worth, the Rays are playing a mighty nooner in Tampa against the A's, trying to avoid the sweep. What the heck is going on there? By the way, the Blue Jays can tie the Yankees for first in the AL East tonight, 7 o'clock Amazon Prime.
Was that on your
Jays-
bingo card, David?
Well, after betting all the money that I bet on the Minnesota Lynx last night, I'm a little gun shy. I got to admit.
David thought that was a lock.
I did too. And then when I found out Caitlin wasn't playing, I'm like, hold on a second. I'm the Lynx at home, 14-2, and I only have to give 4.5, and Caitlin's not even playing. Yeah, what'd they get beat by? 16, 15? Yeah. Unbelievable. That's why.
As my dad always used to tell me, David and Trent, Rick, the bookies know more than you do. Just remember.
Hey,
that.
that
Yes,
stands
they do.
true. That still holds up.
There's soccer tonight on FS1. Semifinals of the Gold Cup. The U.S. heavily favored against Guatemala. Guatemala with the shocker beating Canada in penalty kicks. USA Guatemala at 7 on FS1. Mexico and Honduras at 10. Winners will play Sunday in the Gold Cup final. For whatever it's worth, they're making a big deal. The turnaround, there's usually more time off in soccer than what they're doing here. Both the USA and Mexico had to play Sunday. It's hot. They're turning around and playing Wednesday, and then two winners have to turn around and play Sunday. 3 matches in 7 days, essentially. That's a lot of soccer in a short period of time in the summer heat. So don't know if it influences any of the matches tonight. Don't know if it'll influence the final, but it is a big issue in the Gold Cup FS1 tonight and tomorrow. So there you go. And Wimbledon obviously going on all day today on the 4-letter network. When do the upsets stop? My goodness. 6 of the top 10 players, 4 women and 2 men ranked in the top 10 have all been upset in the first round.
Has that ever happened? There's no way that's ever happened.
Well, it apparently hasn't happened in like a very long time. Certainly not what we would consider the modern era. I don't think it's happened since the players became pros.
Okay.
Which I believe was 69. Sometime in the 60s, and then in the 70s they became pros. But
either way, 50 plus years.
Yeah, it's craziness. Okay. It's not that crazy that the women have upsets, but it is shocking that 2 of the top 9 men's seeds lost in the first round. Anything you fired up about tonight? We got a minute.
Not in particular. Actually, David, this is the time. I do have a Tigers doubleheader today, and you mentioned that earlier, so that's what I'm looking forward to. But
so you're gonna sit inside all day and watch 6 hours of baseball?
Yes, I am.
Wow. See, you're older than you think.
What are you looking forward to?
I have a big bowl of tuna mac that's going to be in front of me in 5 minutes. Okay. And nothing is going to beat that. I don't care if the Mets sweep the doubleheader with the Brewers. It will not top the bowl of tuna mac that I'm about to have. Miller and Moulton. We'll be back tomorrow. Thanks so much for listening. For Rick Church and Trent Pally, I'm David Moulton. Have a great day.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Wine glasses never fall over until you get a brand new rug.
Oh no!
Ketchup bottles act normal till you're wearing a new shirt.
Oh, you kidding me?
And rocks slide peacefully on the road till the day you get a brand new windshield. Then they fly up off the road and attack without mercy. That's why new windshields from Glass Doctor come with our windshield protection plan. Unlimited repairs and 1 replacement for 12 months. Don't just fix it, protect it. Glass Doctor. A neighborly company
with summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
Southwest Florida's scorching heat is on its way. Stay cool with Air Advantage. As a proud Rheem Pro partner, Air Advantage delivers top-notch air conditioning solutions to keep you cool and comfortable. Right now, enjoy 18 months, no interest, no payments on qualifying systems. Call 433-4635 today for expert installation and unbeatable comfort all summer long. Online at myairadvantage.com. Air Advantage. Call today, 433-4635.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 239-427-3441 today.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to NolanAgency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or NolanAgency.com.
This is Miller and Moulton